Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Let's get to it. Welcome, everybody, to 4Player Podcast, episode 743. It is January 19th, 2023. I'm your host, Nick Henderson. I am, of course, joined by Bradley Simons.
The late Bradley Simons.
The late?
Oh yeah. It's not Bradley.
Yeah, I was really disheartened to see that, Brad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Rest in peace. We'll explain that in a second. Also, I know your name is not Bradley, Brad. That's why I said it like that. Anyways, Krispy. Like, Krispy's name is not really Krispy.
It's not.
Welcome.
I don't even introduce myself that way to people. I don't tell them that.
Are we the only ones that call you Krispy?
Yes. Except, like, there are weird leaks where, like, somebody knew me as that and introduced me to somebody else. So now there are, like, these little corners of my social circles that, like, know me as that. And I'm just, like, I don't even know how you know that. Because I didn't tell you that. Like,
so real talk. They just say Kris.
Most of my closest friends,
but it just sounds like a CH Kris. You're just a CH Kris.
Well, I mean, I say it's pronounced Kris, not Chris. But
okay.
I'm lost.
I don't know if I caught the difference there, but
it's not Kris.
Krispy.
It's Kris.
Well, Kris, you are the expert here. So can you introduce the other Kris in the room here, so I can learn how to say it correctly?
Oh, and Chris Davis.
Ah, yes, I see now. I
see when you say my name, Davis. Which you got to have just like a little bit of phlegm in the back of your throat, just like that wants to get out for like a quarter second.
A little bit of phlegm.
The CH has the same sort. It's like Christ, right?
Oh.
So you have to say it like Christ. Whereas Kris is more of like
Kris.
Like the Kris knife.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I'll work on it. I'll practice. We'll see what happens.
I'd appreciate that.
All right, I'll get right on it. Welcome everybody to the show. Video games. We're here to talk about them as we always do. Couple quick update, a little bit of housekeeping here. I know we've said many a times that we're doing this 2023 Fantasy Critic Draft, right? If you haven't listened to that, by the way, it was our first show of the year. You should go check that out. It's pretty great. It's pretty much dominated discussion in our Discord at discord.gg/4player, and I'm sure it's going to come up on almost every podcast you listen to this year. But we made a couple quick changes to it. I just want to make sure everybody's aware because we're going to do our first official update on it on the last podcast of this month, which I'm guessing is probably next week. But when we did the initial draft, we were slotting in a roster of 12 games. We drafted 8, which left us with 4 additional pickups throughout the rest of the year. We have increased that number by 2, so now we have a total of 14 on each person's roster. So just something to look forward to. More games, more, as Brad puts it, more action, right?
I have a question. Do we have a cutoff date on when we need to add?
No.
December 31st, 2023, I think is the last.
Really?
Well, and the game can't be out. It can't have reviews.
What do you get? I mean, nobody has added any of their games yet, as far as I've seen.
I did bid on a game that nobody has outbid me on. I don't think anybody's going to outbid me
on.
I
know what it is, though.
If it closes by tomorrow, I'll have a new game on my roster.
I got no notification that
I thought it already closed.
Did it? Did it already close? Somebody look this up.
I'm looking it up right now.
I did not get a notification. But to be totally honest, Brad was encouraging me to do this, and he set the trap, and I took the bait, because I'm weak. But I also.
Oh wow!
Did it close?
I mean, no.
Okay.
No, bids in progress. 1 day, 22 hours, 26 minutes.
So
2
if
days.
anybody wants to try to outbid me on Forspoken,
Ooh,
Oh, there it is.
then
Okay.
that's
then go
weird.
for it.
You know, Forspoken would have been like a really great 3rd round pick.
No,
Wait,
it wouldn't
no,
have been.
I think it would have been a really nice like.
Especially if
8-6.
you were like in
How
4th
many
and
picks
5th
did we
in
do
the...
on draft night? 6 or 8?
We did 8.
We did 8. Yeah, it would have been a
Yeah,
good 8 or 7, maybe.
So I do want to say I'm taking a bit. I say I'm taking a bit of a gamble. I'm taking a real gamble on Forspoken. But there's been a lot of like buzz from people who are currently playing the game for review, and it seems like a lot of people are expressing the sentiment that like this might be one of the biggest like bait and switches of as far as demos go in a long time. So I'm hoping that maybe this game comes out and it's a real fucking surprise. But if it's not, oh well, I guess I'm starting out and then wait. You don't go
won't
negative,
get
right?
negative.
You just 0
It
is
has
the
to
worst
be
you can do.
below 70. You're gonna make points on Forspoken. Don't
Well,
worry.
can you go negative if you don't make any points from your picks and your counter picks do really well?
Wait, say that again?
You can.
Okay,
gain
so like
points.
if you lose more points on counter picks than you make from regular picks, like you just pick a shit list and don't make hardly any points, can your counterpoints take you negative?
Yeah. If you
I
make bad
think so,
counter
yeah.
picks, sure. But if you counter pick a game that gets below 70, you get
Was that
gain
really
points.
was that
on a
really
counter
so
pick.
confusing?
It was a little, but it's fine. I don't think anyone's going to be in the negative, so it doesn't matter.
So yeah, I actually needed another new game because we had 3 slots that were special slots, so you had to have a new game franchise. So this ends up being my 3rd new game franchise. So I've satisfied that quota.
Let me ask y'all
we'll
this
find
before
out
we
next
get
week.
into
We'll
it,
know.
since seems like this is all we want to talk about these
I
days.
didn't feel like
Has-
waiting
has
until
anybody-
Hogwarts to get on the board.
Has anybody thought after draft night we get one unconditional drop, assuming that the game? So the slot for drop, so drops can be unlimited as long as a company officially delays a game. You can
Yes.
drop that game. Now, if they drop a game on December 15th, you have to find a game that has yet to release to try to fill that slot. You know what I mean? And bid on it and win it. And people can counter, try to outbid you because they know you're screwed. But the idea is that if it's officially delayed, you can drop that game. Now, if it's not delayed and you just are a little gun shy, you just
Your
don't
nerve.
have much faith in that game anymore, you can drop the game, but only one in this entire fantasy draft.
Are you getting to a question here?
My question is, have any of y'all looked at your list and gone like, maybe I should think about using my drop on this one?
I mean, I had a moment of weakness when the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League news broke about.
Yeah.
But it was only momentary. It was only momentary.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to be crazy. I mean, it's Rocksteady. I don't think they're out to make a bad game. Obviously, it's Rocksteady. It's gonna be.
Neither was Crystal Dynamics, and then they made the Avengers.
But like,
Yeah,
that was
but
like so
that's
far
like
out of their wheelhouse.
Yeah, like this is Rocksteady, the guys who basically saved the modern superhero action game.
That's true. It's true.
Making a
They have
superhero
a
action
battle
game.
pass. They have currencies.
And they did clarify some stuff because the currencies that were alluded to in the menu that leaked and everything are actually specific to each character, and it's not like money.
It's the characters like experience points.
Yeah, like that was just a terminology.
They just keep them in separate pools, yeah.
And the stuff.
We still now officially know it's a live service game, though, right? You don't put a battle pass in a single player game.
Dude, I mean,
but hey,
this is the publisher that put out Shadows of War. You know,
that is
true.
I
ain't gonna help reviews.
But it was a momentary weakness, and I moved past it. I'm confident. I'm keeping my pick. I think I should say. I think I'm going to save my unconditional drop for later in the year.
Chris Davis, you could drop Mortal Kombat.
No, it was counterpicked.
Oh wait, you can't.
So it's not.
counterpicked.
So it's not
You
an
can't drop
unconditional
counterpicked.
drop. Then you still can't
It's
drop
not unconditional. You can't drop a game that's been counterpicked. That's the whole point.
Other big news. Carlos. What? I'm muted?
No, Kris Davis.
Carlos changed his second counterpick. If you remember on the draft night, we had the settings wrong, so we couldn't officially lock in the second counterpick. I had to change something, which I did off the feed. But we had decided in that moment what our second counterpick would be, and we were just going to go add it in after the fact, right?
He can't do that.
Carlos, it's too late. It's too late. He originally picked Alan Wake 2 for me.
Oh,
he has since changed it to the Silent Hill 2 remake.
No, he can't do that though. He can't.
He did.
Do that.
He did.
No, but I'm saying we don't have to allow that. I mean, it might say that on the board, but we can remember what he actually counterpicked and adjust his points.
But it's on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I don't know.
No, that's bullshit. The whole excitement of counterpicks is on draft night is that it's risky, it's scary, but you have to commit to something, and he can't do that. We agreed that the rule was it had to be the same. Because
I'm gonna
give him like 2 days to think about it.
Yeah, then I'm gonna let you tell him that I'm changing his counterpick.
I don't give a shit. I'll tell him, but I'm saying I mean that's just gonna be, it's just not gonna how it's gonna work. But either way, I think those are pretty good counterpicks. He's probably gonna get 0 points on both of those. So
I will say this: I look at my list almost every day, and I think to myself, "What the fuck have I done?"
What is the next? What's the next thing coming up?
Dead Space, which is also on Brad's. So
how do we feel about that?
Oh my god! So we're supposed to do our official
talked about this
update
last week. We got to.
Yeah, we'll do our official update next week because by that point we'll have all the
official update. We've been talking about this shit every week.
I know, but next week we'll have Fire Emblem on the board. We'll have Dead Space on the board. We'll know. Wow. And we'll have Forspoken.
How does Fire Emblem not have reviews yet? That's out tomorrow.
Does. It does, but I figured it's like we don't know the final tally, right? Because reviews might be coming out all the way up until day of.
Well, they're going to come out all the way up until the end of the year, more or less. But yeah,
but at some point they stop. Right?
We basically know what it scored now. So
yeah, 83? So I think Brad has about 13 points on the board because it got an 83. But like I said, we'll continue to give these updates on the podcast. So let's get to it. We got games to talk about tonight. We're going to do a little talk of The Last of Us on HBO because that first episode drop. We'll talk about that in the second segment. But first, let's just get to games. There's stuff to talk about. I don't know where we want to start.
Anybody playing anything new? Is any of this shit new?
New to the show or just new?
Both.
New. No, everything that's on the docket for tonight is stuff that's quote unquote old news.
Yeah.
How about this? I know this is an unconventional place to start, especially since we don't have footage for it. But I have been very curious since Krispy told us that he's been playing Tunic, and I know we don't have footage, but Krispy, you said you wanted to talk a little bit about your experience so far with Tunic, which was one of our games of the year from last year. What's up?
It's really cool. First of all. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's this very specific feeling of alienation that the game is going for, where they want you to feel on the outside and on the ropes and not really understanding what's going on, but not so much that you get frustrated and walk away, right?
Yes.
And I'm feeling that.
It is a tightrope to walk for sure.
I am feeling that quite heavily, and I have been taking several day breaks from this game just because I'm what the fuck is going on? And every time I feel I haven't had a play session that has been just a complete waste of time. I've made some good progress, some shocking progress sometimes. Stuff I had no idea was going to be in the game, or just really cool moments or something like that. But I haven't really felt this way since the first time. I'm gonna do the thing. The first time I played Dark Souls, right? Where you're just you're oh my god, I have no idea what's going on. I'm doing so poorly. I'm making no progress in this game. And then you stop and you think, wait, no, I've played 30 hours of this. I've got 9 different weapons. I've leveled up a bunch of times. I have abilities and I have stats now, and I have this shouldn't be a challenge, or this shouldn't be. This shouldn't
You
be.
shouldn't feel this way necessarily, but you do.
Yeah, I shouldn't feel like I'm spinning my tires as much as I am, right?
Yeah.
Or I don't know if I am actually spinning my tires, or I just feel like I am, you know? And I think a huge part of this, honestly, excuse me. I think a big part of this is you guys talking about the game, and I'm having that moment of like, I wish I just fucking played it when everyone else was playing it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Because I like.
But to be fair,
I
think
feel
all
like
of us
I'm
got
getting
played
that
at different
tunnel
times,
vision.
too.
Do you know that tunnel vision when someone tells you like, "Oh, this game is amazing. You're gonna fucking love it." And be prepared for it to do things that you were not expecting, and like this game is crazy. Like we've just played too many of those games at this point. I feel like, you know, to the point where I'm like, oh my god, like what is gonna fucking happen? Like is a goddamn is it gonna make my computer explode? And then that's like part of the game.
Secret, yeah.
Like what's gonna happen? You know? And then it's usually like some nice like, oh, that was kind of neat. Like I had a moment like that in Vampire Survivor last night where I found a secret and like the game acts really weird in like a really like kind of startling way if you're like playing the game alone at 3 a.m, you know, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And it was fun, and then the game goes back to normal, and you're just like, oh, that was neat, you know. And I keep like looking, I keep looking at moments like that and wondering which one of those is going to be like the fucking, you know, like the Inscription moment where like that game makes its big twist, you know, its big turn, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
I don't think it happens at any one particular moment. Well, I will say this: there is.
You guys keep talking about a concept in the game. I don't even know if I should say it, but I feel like we've said it a bunch.
It's a dirty word on this podcast at this point.
The Golden Path. I have no idea what the fucking Golden Path is. I have no idea what that even means.
The moment.
But I see things in the world that I'm like, is that what they're talking about? Like, is this gonna be a thing later? Like, I'm looking at maps.
Your experience is the same as my experience too, because again, I played this fairly recently, so it was me playing it with the knowledge of all of, you know, the shit that, you know, Nick wouldn't shut up about.
Yeah, like I don't know what tricks this game is hiding, but I know it has tricks, so that makes it like a weirdly different experience. Than I think if I was just playing a Q Fox.
Is it a conflict though? I mean, is the existence of that making it harder for you to play the game? I guess I should say.
No.
He's bracing himself for something because he doesn't know when it's gonna hit him.
Yeah, I'm like flinching at everything. I'm like flinching at everying. Like, what's happening?
I will say this. I will say that I don't think it happens at any one particular like the quote unquote the golden path kind of moment, the realization, if you will, doesn't happen at any one particular moment.
Well,
I don't even remember when it happened for me. I think it happens for different people at different times at different points in the game.
I mean, as you get pages, your understanding of how things work in that game and that world will change. So it kind of happens gradually. But again, you can kind of pick up on like certain aspects of that sooner. But like, don't worry about it too much because you're eventually going to get more pages of the book. And when you do, you're going to be like, oh, and then you're going to be like, oh, wait, the game expects me to do this? No way. Wait, the game expects me to do this? And then you're like, oh, wait, no, that's crazy. And then all of a sudden you're going to be down the rabbit hole and it's going to be exciting.
There are things that it's like, it's just one of those games that makes me think about that whole fucking debate of like, is there a right and wrong way to play a game?
Yeah.
You know?
No, it is one of those games because I think that
my instinct is to do things that I think the game doesn't want me to do.
It's
like, no. I'm not talking about in the game. I mean, like the second I start playing the game and there's like golden pads in every area, and I'm like, that's for fast travel, right? And then I start getting fucking lost in this map. By the way, I cannot keep the shape of this world in my head. Whatever. I think that's just me. Like, I never have any idea how to get to where I want to get from where I am.
It's not just you.
And I'm like, I just fucking need this fast travel. So I like went online and looked up how to do the fast travel. And then you do it, and it's like, oh, okay.
You gotta be careful with looking.
I know, but that's what I'm fucking talking about.
Because you're like, it's a everything that the game has to offer the game will tell you how to do it at some point.
I know, but like that one specifically tells you how to do it after you've already figured out how to do it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't fucking know, man. It's like
I feel like we're in danger
a lot out of the player, and depending on kind of how your experience goes, that is like a much different like you're
is
playing
that
a much
moment
game than someone else.
Is
And
that moment of
could
figuring
be,
out how the teleporter works and then like getting the page that's like, hey, this is how the teleporter works. Like, is that moment worth me just like not continuing to play the game? Because that's like kind of where I was at.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
but I will say,
I hate. Yeah.
Oh no, Krispy, you're spiraling. Krispy, you're spiraling. I feel like maybe we should stop the conversation for now because I feel like we're like risking talking Krispy out of playing this game all of a sudden when he sounds like he was actually really enjoying it.
When I say don't look stuff up, it's not because I think like you ruined that moment. That's not even really a moment. That's just one of those little things like, oh, you can upgrade your character and maybe, you know, I knew about that beforehand. But what we're kind of getting at with like the bigger picture stuff, I guess, it's not even really a bigger picture thing. It's just like the kinds of things you're doing towards the end of the game are different and they're crazy and they're cool. And you haven't ruined.
I'll tell you what it is.
But,
I'll tell you what it is.
You can ruin that if you're like liberally looking stuff up, which I don't think you are.
I know, but like
you're right to. The game is kind of hostile and kind of doesn't care about the player.
I'm playing so many games though where it's just like so many roguelike games too, where it's just like Rogue Legacy 1, I played for like 60 hours before I made any actual progress in that game. And the only reason why is because I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit down and play the game for 9 hours at a time and just like figure stuff out and have a through line of progress. It's like I'm going to play the game for 4 hours every night at the end of the day when I'm just kind of like zonking out. So like I look stuff up, you know, and I'm like, how do I get this? Or like, what should I be doing? Where am I going? Like, what is happening? Okay, no, I don't want to talk about this. I hate this. Krispy. I fucking hate this discussion because
that was not my intention.
Like, this is an interesting discussion, I feel like, but like people are going to be listening to this and they're going to be like, oh, a game with spoilers. You looked up spoilers. You're dumb. This isn't a discussion. Like, you know what I mean? Like
too that I kind of
should games be like this? I don't know. Like,
no, like this game does not. Tunic is not a perfect game, and it's not a perfect game because I think certain players can, just depending on how the cards fall, can end up having a really bad time with it and probably bounce off of it. And I feel like, and I feel like a very like a perfect game, if you will, has nets to kind of catch the player and to stop that from happening. And I feel like Tunic doesn't really have all those nets. You have to. It expects a lot out of the player. It's a very demanding game. And I think if the player is not 100% there, I don't think they're going to have the experience that like me or Nick or Nolan or whoever had, right, with it. And that's fine. I mean, I'm glad that there are games that maybe don't care as much about the player. All I'll say is that the frustrations and experience you're having right now is not unique to your experience. I feel like that is a very common experience for where you are in the game.
Can I be completely honest?
But if you were to bounce off now, I'd understand.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, these conversations fucking suck because it really is like, I really like this game. I'm really having fun with it. I really have a high opinion of it. As soon as I start talking about my experience of it, it's like I'm the guy on the end of the rope on the side of the mountain who's kind of like flailing, and they're like, we got to cut you loose. Like, you guys are all the ones on top of the mountain going, this game's amazing, and you just need to believe, oh, you are struggling with it, and this game just makes some people struggle, and I'm sorry, and you guys are cutting the rope, and I'm falling to my death now.
I will say that I think the whole golden path thing is a little overblown. I think the way
that's totally
I don't think it's your fault.
You know why this is
it's sort of a. Do you know? I don't think you should be playing the game and like to get to that point because I think the entirety of the game is like a slow unraveling, and the whole experience is like really cool. And I think the golden path, honestly, I think me and Nick see it differently, but really it's probably just a terminology thing because again, it's the way you're reading the manual. I mean, half of it's not even in English, right? Or more than half of it. So like I see the golden path as sort of one big puzzle at the end of the game, and he sees it as sort of like more a bigger understanding of the game, which is fine. All I'm saying is that Tunic as whole from the start to finish is like a really cool experience. So don't play frustrated trying to get up to a point where Nick or whoever or I or Nolan or Ed are talking about, because that's not really how it works. So there's no rope cutting moment. You're just lost in the world, and we
I'll
were all
never cut
lost
your
in the
I'll
world.
never cut your
Just
rope, Krispy.
you're just gonna have to keep plugging away, and it's
You know what it is? You know what it is?
Hmm.
Nick, the first time we heard Nick talk about this, he compared it to that one clip of Brad playing The Witness.
I didn't
It's
make
not-
that comparison.
it's-
Somebody in chat did.
Okay, well, that comparison came up. It doesn't even matter who made it. That comparison came up. And that game specifically, like, that was like the day it came out. We posted that clip, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Brad's playing the Witness." I hit play, and then that happened, and I'm like, "Oh, I can never enjoy The Witness now," and I had no idea that was about to happen.
But see,
Wait,
that's not
Ruined,
true.
like
that wasn't
ruined The
actually
Witness
that
for
im-
me.
that-
I
that-
know,
that-
but like that is, I think, the most magical thing that game has to offer, and it's like, well, that's gone.
I disagree. I think that's just like a cool Easter egg thing, or not even Easter egg thing. Like it's a cool little collectible thing you do on the side.
For the record, I did make a comment about The Witness, but what I said was that just the general approach to world design and puzzle design made me. I hadn't felt that way since I played The Witness in general, because
I know
the
why he
puzzles are
made the
just-
comparison to The Witness, and it's not as deep as you think it is. And I don't
shut the
really
fuck
want to
up.
talk about it because I don't want to like spoil
I know.
anything in Tunic.
This conversation is largely just kind of like whatever, because I am just like in the middle of the experience and I haven't reached the end, and I'm sure by the time I finish the game I'll be like really breezy about it, like, oh yeah, that was great, I loved it, oh, it's so fun how they did this, blah blah blah, and it's not gonna have this like tenor of like emotional distress and like absolute confusion and breakdown on my part. I'm just a fucking like weirdo.
You're a
who-
soul searcher.
who-
You're a wrestler.
it's like struggling.
I get it.
You're okay. Let's shift gears. We won't bring up Tunic again until you bring it up because you finished it. That's like
Okay.
I hope you
You
keep
don't
going.
even have to finish it to want to bring it up again. Don't. It's not about finishing.
You bring it up when you want to bring it up. All right, shift gears for a second. I want to talk about a game real quick. So, God, I tried to capture footage of this game before the podcast, and it was just I was on the struggle bus for like 2 hours.
All y'all are on your same bullshit.
I know.
It's the same shit.
But like last week I talked about Chernobylite, and this week I'm talking about another completely random game that's also on my backlog. But I also am playing this for a reason, kind of like I was playing Chernobylite for a reason. They're both relevant in their own special way. But
it's a tree puncher, Nick. How can you fuck up footage for a tree puncher?
A tree puncher, is that a genre you just made up?
Yes, that's the genre.
Minecraft legs.
Which is funny because I do think I'd punch some trees in this footage. I've been playing The Forest, and I've been streaming it a few times now with members of the community. And I am actually playing this game. It's been on my backlog for a while, but I'm playing it because apparently a sequel's coming out next month. I didn't know it was coming out that soon, but I've kind of had my eye on it.
I was actually thinking about this one a little bit.
I don't think it's coming out in early access. I think it's just straight up coming out.
There's no fucking survival game on the planet launches not in early access. Come on.
Well, if that's the case, that's kind of disappointing because I'm not going to play it when it comes out in early access. In which case, I may have just moved this game to the top of my list unnecessarily, or maybe it's better because it gives me more time to actually finish this game. Because I do intend to do that.
Really, for a game like this, you want early access, but sure.
But
I get it.
So here's the thing. The reason I was saying I was on the struggle bus with this game is because like recording footage of this is like ridiculous. Because like, what do you even do in 10 minutes of footage in a survival game to make it look interesting, right? There's not much you can do. I can run around, chop down some trees, and build a fire pit. Yeah, it's not doing a lot.
Switched it to daytime. Jeez,
dude, you can't even do that. You have to wait until you can go to sleep. You can't go to sleep at any time. You have to wait until it's like middle of the fucking night. So I was running out of time. Couldn't do that. The point is, I've been having a good time with this game. I've been playing it with Nolan played with me the first night, and then I played some with community members, Sonji and Freyhim and Self Torment. We've been having a good time, but what I think kind of separates this game from other survival games is I mean, it's kind of a fucking horror game. You crash land on an island, on a tropical island, and you have to try and survive. Find your son who's been kidnapped by a tribe of cannibals who are living on the island, and that in and of itself is terrifying. What are you laughing at, Brad?
No, it's just in every fucking survival game that fucking happens, right? You see the tree falling over, and you're like, oh, cool, and then it like transforms into like multiple logs as it hits the ground.
Yeah,
There's just
Yep.
classic
Science.
Yeah, this is a straight up classic ass survival game, but with the twist being that it's kind of terrifying. Now, but here's the thing: I've been playing it with multiple people, which is a great way to play. It's a great way to stream it too. But man, it kind of sucks it does kind of suck the atmosphere out of it and makes it far less frightening. Because when you're playing this game by yourself, it's like when you see the sun setting, it's like, oh my god, I had to find shelter immediately because these creepy ass cannibals come out and they're stalking you in the woods at night, and it is pitch fucking black in this game at night. You can't see shit, so you're having to obviously craft torches and find flashlights and stuff. What's up, Chris Davis? You look like you have a question.
Oh no, I was just going to mention that everything I'm reading here says that it's not going to be an early access release.
Oh shit! You mean the Sons of the Forest, the sequel?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's weird, right?
It is kind of weird. It is
A
kind of
little
weird.
worrying, honestly.
Was this game out in early access? The original?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
This came out in 2017.
And
No,
it was in early access for a very long time.
I told you I bought that game in like 2014 or something.
Oh yeah. You did say that. But here, let me tell you what's
that it would. But yeah.
It is kind of strange. But let me tell you one thing that I think is kind of interesting about this game, because like the concept on the surface is I think is pretty neat, because you know cannibal horror is real fucked up, and that's I don't feel like that's kind of like tapped into in a lot of games. And
Did you watch Bones and All? Sorry.
I didn't watch Bones and All, but it's on my list. I did recently watch Bone Tomahawk for the first. Not I say recently, but like 2 years ago. But I still haven't shaken that movie.
Recent?
I mean, after like years and years and years of people telling me to watch Bone Tomahawk, I finally did, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. I still have the occasional nightmare about that fucking movie.
But have you seen the show Bones? Now that we're jumping to things based on single words that we've said.
Funny, Robin was watching that while we were making dinner earlier. So, didn't we sit next to Bones on the plane back from E3 once?
Not Bones. Wait, who is Bones?
The actress.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought Bones was the dude. I've never seen the show.
No. Bones is Emily Deschanel's sister.
Excuse me. Bones is fucking Dr. Leonard McCoy, but whatever.
Yes, that's correct.
What?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was on a plane. That's right.
We are going. Okay, sorry. Sorry. I'm just saying we sat next to her on the plane back from E3 once, and I seem to remember Brad spending like half of the plane like looking at her, trying to be like, "Is that her?" And then she was like holding a baby.
No,
and
I had no idea who that was. Y'all are the one who told me.
No, I'm pretty sure it was you, Brad. You like got on. You like paid for internet on the plane.
I've
so you
never
could
seen
your phone
Bones.
And
I
see
didn't
if
know
she recently had a baby.
I've never seen
did.
Bones. I didn't know this actress existed until y'all told me.
Whatever.
The
I don't
only
believe you. I think it was you.
character I knew from Bones was Angel.
Maybe it was. Why are we talking about? God damn it,
Nick,
Brad, you derailed this whole conversation.
Nick, chat has a very important question for you. They want to know what do you think of the taste of human flesh?
It's fucking gross. I keep accidentally eating human flesh in this game.
Accidentally?
You can do that. It gets dark, and it's kind of hard to make out like.
You're
like,
just reaching for meat anywhere.
You're like reaching for meat, and it's like, oops, I ate an arm. And I don't know if that has any like long term effect or what, but like they seem to suggest.
I think
that
you're eating the bad guys. Because I think that like it pisses them off or like it scares them. This game has been out for like a long time, and I feel like I've heard stories about this game. And
there are stories.
One of them was eating them in front of them. Is pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Oh, shit! I don't know. Again, this is a fucking decade ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. But
have you gone into any caves yet?
Yes, yeah. Well, we went spelunking several times, which was fun as a group. I can't imagine doing one of those by myself. It gets pretty crazy. But one thing I really like about this game, and like they had this whole tribe of cannibals, right? So you're out here like trying to build like a fortified position on like we were trying to build a fortified position on a hilltop, so we're chopping down trees and whatnot. It's broad daylight, and these cannibals like they kind of just appear out of they just kind of like show up, and it's almost like they're like poking at your defenses, like they're like they just kind of run up and they look at you, and then they turn around and sprint back into the woods, and you're just like, what the fuck are they doing? And it's like, and every day they get a little closer and they get a little braver. So it's like for the first few nights of the game, it's just like they're feeling you out.
Never
And like
attack the same place twice.
and then all of a sudden one day it's like, oh, they decided to like come running into our base in the middle of the night, and there's like 10 of them, and it's just pure chaos because nobody can see anything. We're not prepared because we're not used to like fighting these things or even fighting anything in the game yet. It's a unique feeling that I haven't really gotten anywhere else. But like the sad thing is at this point I can't really imagine myself playing this game by myself, which I think kind of drains a lot of the tension, a lot of the really
Why
cool
can't
like
you play it by
atmosphere out of
yourself?
it. Well, one, especially early on, like getting materials to build anything takes fucking forever. Because like you want to build like a cabin, you need like 36 logs, and you can only get like 4 logs from a tree. So you're out there like it's deforestation by yourself, just with an axe, like chopping down countless trees, and then you stop and you look around to see if anybody's like watching you. Because sometimes they'll be just like off in the woods, just kind of like watching you while you're chopping down trees, and it's really creepy. But like, it takes forever to do anything early on. I know you can eventually get a chainsaw, so I would imagine things are going to speed up at some point, but like it's just so like right now I'm like, why would I play this by myself when I could get Nolan and Self and Frame together and make shit
Can I
tons of
ask you this?
progress.
Besides Nolan, have the other people played the game before?
Two of the people that I'm playing with have. I think one of the
Because
people
that's a
I
bummer.
think
I feel like the
yeah,
best experience would be with people who've not played it yet.
for sure. I tried to get y'all. Nolan joined me. Krispy didn't answer.
You didn't.
To be fair,
You didn't message me. So.
I was asleep. I'm sorry.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyways, I don't have much to report. I mean, like you said, this is a game that's been out for probably close to a decade now, so don't really need it. It's a survival game. It just has a cool twist to it, and I am really looking forward to playing Sons of the Forest. I hope it turns out well. What's up, Chris Davis?
The Forest came out on Steam on April 30th, 2018.
Out of early
Cool
access.
story, bro.
No,
Well,
yeah,
it launched into early access on April 30th.
No,
2018.
you're wrong.
Right?
You're wrong.
Or am I
well,
reading
it was in some kind of alpha test and
Yeah,
made it
like this game has existed long before 2018.
It might have existed before the whole like early access infrastructure on Steam existed. I don't know when they started doing that.
I'm kind of floundering. Like, tell me what y'all think, because like I'm kind of floundering. Like, I feel like now I've played this game. I know what it is. I like it. But there's a sequel coming out, which I would imagine is going to be just kind of an improved version of this that's new and more modern feeling. Like, maybe I should just
stop playing this and wait for the new one?
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Maybe. I don't know. I would like you to keep playing one of them, though. I want you to get a taste for survival games so that you can play the Dune game with me when it comes out.
Dude, I have my eyeball on that. I am excited to play that.
The Dune game?
Well, you're talking about the MMO?
Well, it's not. I mean, the one that's made by the Conan Exiles people.
Yeah,
they call them all. They call those MMOs too.
Right, but it's weird. It's like lobbies of like 36 people or something. Like,
yeah, I'll play that with you. Shit. I'm a Dune fan.
Yeah, but it's worth playing if they don't incorporate those penis physics.
I do love survival games already. Like, this is not giving me a taste for survival games. I am playing this game because I've already been given a taste for survival games.
Yeah, but Nick, I will say, you really haven't played a real survival game until you're setting alarms for the middle of the night, or you're getting phone calls from your homies in the middle of the night because someone's attacking your shit in the game while you're asleep.
That sounds awful.
That's called Rust.
Yeah. Those are the real survival games.
I have
where
no
your shit exists
in
the world, and the only way you're going to protect it is if you're in the game.
That sounds a little too hardcore for me. I'm pretty happy with my experience playing Subnautica and The Long Dark, both of which are amazing fucking games. So yeah, this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I guess I'm contemplating maybe sitting on it and waiting for the Sons of the Forest before I really dive deep into this. But yeah, that's The Forest. Moving on, Chris Davis.
Yes.
You have a game that I have had my eyeball on for a long time, but every time I go to buy it, I look at the reviews and I'm like, do I though? Do I want to?
Depends on where you're looking at the reviews.
On Steam and the internet.
I mean, mostly positive on Steam for like 20,000 reviews. So like, I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
All right, cool.
Mostly
Tell us about
positive,
Generation.
not... Okay, go ahead.
Tell us about Generation Zero. I'm genuinely curious because like I said, had my eye on it for a while.
Generation
Before you
Zero.
start, tell us why that you decided to pick this up right now.
Well, I've had Generation Zero. I've owned it and kept an eye on it for a couple years, and I've wanted to play it because I like the premise. It's an open world first-person shooter with really cool looking robots. I mean, that is what this game is.
Cool looking robots.
Yeah. This is actually from Systemic Reaction. This is their first game. They're the third homegrown studio from Avalanche, the developers of Just Cause and Mad Max and the upcoming Contraman, for example. It's just another studio that have opened. Their actual next game after this was Second Extinction, if you remember that game.
I don't remember that game.
Basically, horde mode with raptors.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you remember that thing.
Yeah. But I'm guessing this is probably what they're better known for.
Yeah,
you know what this game reminds me of every time I look at it, and the reason why I keep wanting to I borderline wanting to play this game is because every time I look at it, the art reminds me of Half-Life 2.
I would say, yeah, there is some influence in like the architecture and especially the robot design. The robot design is very much somewhere in between like Half-Life 2 and Metal Gear. Because they're large, mechanical, lumbering, but also kind of imposing and surprisingly maneuverable.
I over the years, since we started doing this podcast, I have developed a love of playing games where I'm shooting robotic enemies. Is it satisfying in this game?
The combat can be very satisfying. You really do feel the difference in combat between the various class levels of robots. There's a lot of all the robots have a measure of destructibility to them. You can shoot off guns or armor or aim for like explosives on their back and things like that to do extra damage. Every one of them has their own pattern, and every time you encounter a upgrade of those, the difficulty spikes. But also you get different counters that you could probably take advantage of with them. Like I encountered some the other day that had some biological flamethrowers that don't do, incendiary damage. They do biological like poisoning damage at you. It's kind of interesting. And I do like the combat in this game, but I also have a lot of problems with this game.
There it is. It is.
I have put about 16 hours into this game, and I am not certain I want to come back. The first problem stems from how this game sets itself up to you. So let me give you the narrative setup. It's 1989. The Berlin Wall has just fallen. The Soviet Union's about to collapse. You're a teenager in Sweden, and you go off with some friends on a holiday on a remote island. You come back, all of a sudden, you're in the middle of the robot apocalypse in Sweden. It
sounds like all right to me.
I mean, it's an all right premise, but here's the thing: is that from that point on, the developers want this game to feel like a kind of Red Dawn-esque experience, where you are a guerrilla fighter that's doing a lot of stealth and a lot of sneaking around and planning tactical ambushes and stuff.
Right.
The first 5 to 10 hours of this game, the tutorial island archipelago that you're on, teaches you the exact opposite experience. because it teaches you based on the difficulty of the enemies as well as the amount of loot that you get, the higher quality loot that you wouldn't expect for an early game. It teaches you that you want to engage in combat. You want to go for those big kills, for those for that extra loot, the higher quality loot, and you want to go after the rival targets. Which rival targets are basically automatically generated enhanced enemies that you can find around the map. They basically have names and they've got titles to them, and they've got more armor and stronger weapons. But if you are able to kill them as you raise your threat level in the area, you get much better loot drops.
Okay.
And that's the entire loop of the game, is that you.
So it's
you
kind
build
of
up
like at odds with itself. Like it's not really a game that's meant to be played that way, but they like.
Are you
Yeah, absolutely.
are you saying this is a ludonarrative dissonance? I remember that one.
No, because I haven't even gotten to the narrative aspect of that. So yeah, once you've played through the archipelago portion of the game, the tutorial area basically, and you get onto the main part of the island, there is just such a dramatic difficulty spike of the robots you encounter and the situations you run into. It might as well be night and fucking day. It feels like you're jumping from like hour 5 of the game to hour like 35. Because
that's kind of strange.
It is really strange because this is an open world game. You can go pretty much anywhere as long as it's on land. And there's a lot to explore. This is a fucking huge feeling map. This feels like something out of like DayZ or Arma 3 or one of those high-spec military simulators where the map is fucking gigantic, but there's not a whole lot in between, locations, right?
But of course, the obvious question that everybody has, and that is the crux of the success of any game like this, is the size of that map justified? Is the world interesting? Are there interesting things to find in the world? And I have a feeling the answer is maybe no.
Granted,
given kind of the critical reception of this game.
Granted, I have only explored about a third of the map total. There is just
that should give you a pretty sizable taste of what to expect, right?
It's absolutely huge. And there are plenty of towns in between, and there's plenty of places to find. But
are there cool characters? Are there cool stories to unlock? Are there cool loot drops that you can only find by exploring the map?
Let me get to it, man. The problem with the map design is that there's just so much repetitive architecture going on. Like, I'm convinced that there's only about 3 models of houses in this game for the dozen of towns I've encountered. All the bunkers are basically the same except for like the actual functional layout of them.
It sounds like the budget doesn't justify the size of the map that they built because they obviously couldn't populate it with enough variety.
I mean, I partially agree with that. So here's the thing. This is a game that came out in 2019, and Systemic Reaction has been supporting it quite strongly since then. They are still releasing DLC for it. They've released 18 packs of DLC for this game.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's not just like, weapon skins and new weapons and new clothes and stuff. It's new narrative content. It's new gameplay concepts. It's a bunch of new stuff.
This is a multiplayer game, right? I mean,
that is the other thing,
right?
is that this is designed to be a multiplayer game, but it designs its interface in the main menu and the way they depict it in like marketing materials to be a single player experience.
I've always understood this to be like some 4-player co-op Left 4 Dead.
Honestly, this is one of those games where it's like every time I look at it and I'm like, oh, that looks like it's right up my alley. Like I like the setup and the concept and like the art and everything. And then I look at it and I realize like, oh, it's a co-op game, and it's always a gamble if you're deciding like I'm gonna play this co-op game by myself because I feel like that's not the intended experience.
Yeah, and it's like, again, this is a low budget game, theoretically speaking. I mean, there are only 2 other friendly NPCs in the game, as far as I played in 16 hours. The rest of the game, the only humans I encounter are corpses on the ground. There are I've encountered one other character on the fucking radio. That's it. The narrative is so disjointed in how it tells itself and how you
It's
naturally explore. Because in an open world game, typically the design is that you can go anywhere pretty much, but to actually get the narrative flow, the developers want you to go to this place and then go to this place and yada yada yada, and slowly expand out from there, right?
Yep.
You don't
That's how
get
it
that
works.
with this game. You get mission objectives that tell you that, oh, there are 7 bunkers throughout this entire island. Go find them all. When you find the bunkers and you liberate them, you get extra missions that are part of that expand the narrative. And then you can occasionally stumble across new side missions that give you just a little bit of stuff. But it's not a lot of stuff. And in fact, they drip feed it so slowly, it's honestly kind of painful.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna be
can I
honest.
ask
This
you
sounds like a mostly positive review.
No,
Like
no.
a
Let me ask
quote
you this.
unquote.
This is kind of bothering me. This is like a big, open, huge world. Not a lot in it. You're playing it by yourself. You said there's like 2 NPCs. You don't sound like you're having a particularly good time, and it's just like an old game. At this point, like, yeah, just stop playing. This is the game that, like, falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, or whatever the fuck that analogy is, right? Like, you could stop playing this game and no one would ever notice. I think
This
it's
is
time to move on, to be
this is
completely honest.
like a get even.
No,
Okay.
don't
I'm
say
not
No,
that.
trying
don't
to be
do
mean
that.
about it.
That's
I'm saying that this one sounds like an easy. All right. I mean,
You gave it an.
we
You gave it.
tried. We
You
tried.
gave
I'm
it a
moving on with my
solid
life.
try. Yeah, you gave it a solid try. I don't think anybody would blame you for
and
putting this
I
down.
did. I'm just there are still aspects of it that I want to understand what they are before I stop. Because again, like I said, they have provided a shit ton of DLC for this game. And that DLC, a lot of like the architectural stuff with the new gameplay modes, those are actually out on the map and you can encounter that stuff. Like there's
Wait, so
stuff in there like
are you pumping more money into this game that you're not really enjoying?
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm saying that
Just checking.
the content is teased for you, and you have to pay a certain amount of money to unlock that content and experience what that is. And
But you're not
I
doing that.
wanna find out. I'm not saying I want to buy the content, but I want to find out if it has a balance to the difficulty curve that the game throws at you once you get back to the proper island. And I want to find out like some of the aspects of the narrative, because I do like the concept of this story, and it does set up an interesting.
But you said there's 2 NPCs, so are these like notes that you're picking up or something?
No, it's radio broadcasts with you talking to those other NPCs, but it's also notes. Yeah, it's little narrative pieces where you're trying to piece the story together. But I mean, there's some interesting organic stuff about this game that really grabs me. Like, I got to about the middle of the main island the other day. And it is a very different biome for the rest of the map because it is clear that this was a big battlefield because the trees are mowed down. There's craters everywhere. There's the remnants of tanks and soldiers and robots just strewn everywhere. And there's
It
robots
went
patrolling.
down.
But I encountered a mech I hadn't seen before. And it was a flying mech. And none of the other robots in the game have a flying mech like this. It's just kind of serving the area. And what grabbed me about it was not just the design, but the fact that it was fighting the robots on the ground. So I was like, what the fuck is this? I want to find out what's going on here. So like it is painful for me because I'm having such a difficult time with this gameplay loop that taught me one thing and wants me to do something else entirely. And then it has these narrative potential, hooks in you that could pull you back. Like I
Chris
can complain
Davis
all
is
day
Chris
about this
Davis-
game about certain aspects. Like the fact that this game has a 50-50 day-night cycle of 2 hours a day and 2 hours a night, and you can't sleep through the night. Like you can't advance time. The only way the game actually advances time is by having you fast travel between points to it actually calculates the time it will take to get there.
Maybe you should just play at night. We should probably move on. But Chris Davis, this sounds like, and this is fine. I'm guilty of this myself. But like, you sounds like you're playing this game for kind of the same reasons I was interested in playing this game, which is like I like the look of the world and like kind of the design of it, but like that's not, or the atmosphere of it, I suppose. Like I don't know if that's enough to save this experience or pull me
To
through
me,
it.
it sounds like you need to
So,
find some homies to play it with because it sounds pretty dull by yourself.
I mean, I cannot fault you on that because it does feel like, again, this game wants you to be sneaky and ambush robots. And
Chris
again,
Davis, if I had bought this game on a $5 sale like I almost did 14 times, I'd be playing this with you, but I did not do that.
I would encourage it. I think it's worth $5 easily.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind next time it's $5.
But it just
on
has
Steam.
such interesting ideas behind it. Like, the fast travel points happen only between safe houses that you find throughout the map. But you will find robots controlling like radio towers. And if you kill all the robots and you destroy their like mini radio tower, the relay station, you get access to a long range radio. And that becomes a mobile fast travel point that you can plant almost anywhere on the map.
You just described every Ubisoft game ever made.
No,
right?
I'm talking
Am I
like
crazy?
no.
That's a tower from Far Cry.
No, they're like pylons that are like 12 feet tall, not like a
12
Ubisoft
feet?
tower that you climb. It's
Okay.
a relay. It's a comm relay, and
Okay.
the robots are guarding it. And if you destroy the comm relay, you get, and amongst other loot, this long range radio pack that you can plant anywhere on the map, and that becomes
Oh,
a
Like in
place that you
Dragon's
can
Den.
fast travel to and
okay.
from
That's
wherever
what
you
I
want.
wasn't picking up on. I didn't know you could dictate your own fast travel point with that. That's different. That's kind of neat. Okay,
Yeah, like I'm saying, there are cool ideas in this game
I get it now.
that I really
I get
like.
it now.
It's just
But you gotta sort through all the shit to kind of get to it.
there's a lot of shit, and it's a game you want to play in multiplayer. So
Okay, noted. All right, real quick before we cut to break, I just want to give an update on the game I talked about last week because Brad, remember when I talked about Chained Echoes and you were like, "Hey, have you got the mechs?" And I was like, "No," and you were like, "Why are you talking about this if I haven't got the mechs?" Well, I got the mechs in Chained Echoes, and I kind of like reached the other part of this game. Like I feel like I finally kind of like unearthed the full potential of Chained Echoes, which I talked about. This is the Chrono Trigger, like the modern or the retro JRPG type game that I talked about last week. It's very reminiscent of like Chrono Trigger and whatnot. I got the mechs. I found a home base that I'm now going around the world and recruiting characters and bringing them back.
You got the little Suikoden going on there.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and it's like, but like, what's really fucking cool about it is that like, so you have this underground base that's on this island, and you go out to the world and you recruit characters, but you're not recruiting characters for your like party. You're recruiting characters that go back to your base and populate your base, but they give you special things that you didn't otherwise have.
You're literally
like,
describing Suikoden, but
okay. Well, I thought Suikoden was more of like you're recruiting characters that you can then swap in and out of your party.
both.
Well,
both.
that's not what's happening here. You are locked to your team of 8 that actually go out into the world and progress the story. But like
You get more than
like,
that, actually. I heard.
but you can bring like a fortune teller back to your base, and they can like they can tell you, they can tease like secrets hidden in the world, but not like they don't
that's a
expressly
direct-
tell you where to
yeah.
find them. And then this other guy I found in the world, I recruited him, and ever since I recruited him, now whenever
Is
I
there
go
a
into
map
any
maker?
area.
Is there a map maker?
There is a map. There's a cartographer you can bring back. I forgot
That's
exactly what he.
map maker is.
Yeah,
But
yes.
yeah. That,
I'm just using the proper
it
terminology.
Sounds, it sounds like it's a Suikoden, like direct Suikoden.
Yeah, it's. I
Like
mean,
they're
maybe it is.
pulling the best aspects from like the best RPGs, and I think that's why this game is clicking with a lot of people.
It's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. But like this dude that I brought back, he gives me like now when I go into any area, any area in the game, it tells me how many chests are in the world or in that map. So I know I'll never leave an area without collecting all the chests and stuff. So it's like little things like that. So like now I got this whole other aspect of the game that I'm super addicted to. And you got these mechs, right? And the mechs, you can actually fly around the world, and you can like there's different levels of like hovering off the ground, so you can traverse stuff that you couldn't otherwise traverse. But then when you go into combat in a mech, it totally switches up the overdrive system, which I talked about last week. Now you have gears that you have to shift, and when you're in like this, when you're in second gear, you do more damage and you do more damage and your defense is higher. But if you're approaching the end of the overdrive meter, you have to shift down into gear 1, and then you have to go down. You have to keep going, basically like ping-ponging back and forth with the gears, and it just kind of like adds another wrinkle to combat, which is really, really fucking cool. And you can change like the color of the mech armor and stuff for all the individual characters. Like, this game just got way fucking
You
deeper.
could have said like throttling or shifting, but you went with ping ponging.
Yeah.
It's like that's the least mech thing you could have said.
Well, I'm no mech expert, and honestly, mechs aren't even really my thing. Crispy should be telling me what the proper terminology is for shifting gears
Get
in a
him.
mech. I
No,
don't know.
it's ping ponging.
Okay. Thank you for confirming what I suspected all along. Anyways, my point is, and that's why I just wanted to quickly bring this up, because I talked about it last week, and I didn't realize last week that I was sitting on the cusp of like the meat of this game, and I was just last week I was like, yeah, this game's pretty cool.
Just
But now
right
I'm
on
like,
the
this
tip
game
of
is
the meat.
this game is pretty fucking cool, is what I can say. I can safely say. Chris Davis, you should stop playing Generation Zero. You should play this. Chained Echoes is pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
How long is this game?
I'm like 22, 23 hours
So,
into it, and
what's up with these mechs? Are they like magical energy mechs, like an Escaflowne kind of situation?
no, the world,
or-
they're just like military constructed mechs that like the
But they
main
look like
characters in this game.
knights.
They're called sky armors, and like only a few people in the world are like qualified to
I
pilot
will
them. And
say,
you're one of them.
Crispy, this
cool.
game, if
It's kind of cool.
as a fan of mech anime, this game has got you. Like, there's references all over the place. It's for those nerds as well.
One of your main characters. Okay, this is funny because Brad mentioned like this game is just kind of like borrowing elements from like some of the best JRPGs. And I just realized this when he said that, but like I was like, one of the main characters in this, or one of the like late game like characters that you get in your party, is a fucking goat man, and he has no abilities other than he can eat enemies and learn new abilities from the enemy. I'm like, this
He's a blue mage.
This is fucking Quina from Final Fantasy
Well,
IX.
the blue mage.
But he's like
Quinn
literally
is a blue
eating
mage,
them.
but yeah,
He's like literally eating the enemy. Although he turns them
I
into
see what
like
you're saying.
an aluminum can and then eats them out of the aluminum can. But like, this game's clever as hell. It's good. It's so good. I do highly recommend. Like last week, I could safely say this game's good. Now I can safely say this game's pretty fucking great.
Hell
So
yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
Chained Echoes.
I'm still excited to play it, but I'm trying to be responsible and finish
Brad.
playing the games that I really loved from last year that I have not finished yet. So, I mean, that's kind of why I'm not bringing anything new to the table here. See, usually I just, I'm going to play, several hours of something new so I can talk about it on the podcast, and then I'll play that for another week and a half and then move on to something else. I'm trying not to do that. So, I've been trying to finish up Citizen Sleeper, and I've been playing a lot of Tactics Ogre, but there's a lot of game there, so it is what it is. But I love those games, so I'm gonna keep playing them. But Fire Emblem does come out next week.
I want. It
Or
sounds like Chained
tomorrow.
Echo is really good. The fact of the matter is that Dead Space comes out next Friday, and I only like to play one game at a time. This is a 3-hour commitment.
You're
Yeah,
on a
but you
video
also
game
poops that
podcast and
game.
you only play one game at a time? What
How
a
we feeling about Dead Space? What are we looking at? 70? 69?
No.
71?
Don't do that to
I
innocent
want an
Dead
85.
Space.
I'll be happy with an 85.
An 85.
Yeah, I'll be
82.
happy with an 85.
82
I think-
tops.
82 tops. Are we taking bets
Maybe,
now?
maybe. If it's
You know what?
lower than an 82, I'll be a little disappointed. But I
Here's
think
what I'm gonna say.
I think it could. It could be high 7. I think there could be some weird issues with tech, or
Mark my words. Mark my words. I'm gonna guess 88. I'm gonna go with
Maybe-
88.
Maybe
No,
they
that's
make
too
it
high.
too
That's
woke.
too high. The original Dead Space is barely an 88. There's no way this.
This could be
fucking-
better than the original Dead Space.
No, it's not. It's not gonna be, because it's gonna like that game is old, and it's gonna. And they
You're
didn't do
making
as
this
much
argument
work
for
to
me.
it to make it feel modern versus like when Resident Evil does a remake, right? That's like a whole thing. Like, oh, we're gonna this whole modern interpretation of it. It's gonna play modern, feel modern, whatever. This game is like a pretty version of a 2008 game.
Yeah.
Right? So
That's-
I don't know. I'm a little worried about, is that core game going to hold up? So we'll see. We'll see.
Are you all gonna
It's
play?
on my list. I want it to do well.
Is it
I'm just
possible
not
you're all
so-
gonna play it and then be like, "Oh no, Dead Space was always bad, and I'm just now realizing it"?
No, that's not going to happen.
It was not always bad. It was always less than Resident Evil 5 for sure.
Spoken like a true. Spoken like
I
someone.
mean,
who's
one
never
of them's a
played
fun
Dead
video
Space.
game. The other one has good atmosphere. So
Oh fuck! Oh.
I mean,
Oh,
Also,
I mean that's how I feel. I played them.
They both have good atmosphere.
You're right. I mean, Resident Evil 5 is the much better game. I agree, but one has more than atmosphere. One's a fun video game.
yeah.
Dead Space is a fun video game.
Yes, it is.
And on that final note, let's cut to break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about that first episode of The Last of Us on HBO. And then we'll, like I said, I don't think we have much else to talk about, so we'll do that, and then we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. Unless these chocolate fucks can come up with anything interesting to talk about. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But if you're watching us live or listening at home, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the podcast. We're going to talk about The Last of Us on HBO in a second, and then we're going to talk more about Mortal Kombat 12, and if it is in fact going to be announced and released in 2023, as Chris Davis has so brazenly predicted. I'm sorry. I'm just teasing.
No, you are not sorry.
It just
you are
seems
not
like
sorry
a
at
fun
all.
thing to poke at.
Brazen's
It's going to be
also not the word.
Okay, what is the word I was looking for?
Hey, let's talk about The Last
Bold. The bold decision. All right, let's talk about The Last of Us. The Last of Us has officially premiered on HBO. First episode's out. I think Brad and myself are the only ones who have actually watched it. I've asked Krispy like 4 times, and his answer is always, "I've played the game."
I played the game too.
I'm going to watch it. I just want to wait
Well,
till there's a few episodes out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I know Chris Davis is
I'll
going to
start with
abstain from
this.
Chris Davis is going to abstain from this conversation entirely. In fact, I think he's going to put his fingers in his ears because he's waiting until the whole thing's over to binge it or something. I
don't want to pay for HBO, so I'm just I'll wait for the Blu-ray.
Wait,
The Blu-ray.
Wait.
You know, there's a lot of other shit on HBO. That's
You could
good,
just wait
right?
for it to finish and then just get like a fucking free trial of HBO and then just
and
watch
it in
all.
a day. Yeah,
Yeah,
And then-
I could do that too, but
he's going to
have to own
either
it.
way. He has to wait until the whole thing's out. So, anyways, that's not.
I own
neither here nor there.
Chernobyl on Blu-ray. Like,
I do too. Chris Davis. That show is
You can-
it's
fantastic.
a really good show. Yeah.
And you know what? This
You like
show is
to
made by the
buy
same guy.
Physical,
Let's talk.
Do you buy physical media? I mean, everything you watch on television, is it like off a physical disc?
Uh,
Are you
A lot
asking
of it
me or
is,
Chris
yeah.
Davis?
Holy
We're both.
shit, that's
Dude,
crazy.
I still buy
So you're
a
not
lot.
on board with this whole streaming thing yet?
I'm not on board with the having a subscription to a service and then losing access to content that I've paid for.
Okay, don't. Okay, Brad.
is the
I
good
can see it in your eyes. You want to chase. You want to follow that thread farther
Yeah,
down
it's
the
crazy.
hole.
We
It's
have to talk
crazy.
about The Last
I would
of
like
Us.
to. I would like to lambast him a little bit, but we're not here for that.
I'm kind of the same way, but I also do watch a lot of stuff streaming. But if there's something I love, like I genuinely love, I do buy it on Blu-ray.
You are
I
not
did
the
watch
same
a
way.
streaming
I'm
show
not
over
talking
this past
about owning
week.
stuff. I'm talking about. It's not what we're talking about.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
glad that you like to own stuff on Blu-ray. That is not the situation Chris Davis is in.
Okay, let's
Um,
talk about The Last of Us because that's
Yeah,
that's what I
let's
wanted.
talk
That's
about
what I wanted to
Let me
bring up.
open by saying it's poo-poo, and I hope that there's no one here on the podcast who likes it because that would be awkward.
I can boot him from the call if you want.
I would like that. Kick him out. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That'll ruin the setup.
I'm kidding.
Where do you want to start with this, Brad?
How about we
It's-
start from minute 1 of The Last
No,
of Us?
I will say this: I have watched that episode twice now, and I had some going into this. I had some I don't want to say I had
Excitement?
trepidation. I mean, I had both. I've been very excited. I do still consider The Last of Us to be one of my favorite games of all time. I love these characters. I love this story. So obviously, I'm very excited. A lot of my hype, strangely enough, maybe not strangely enough, but a lot of my hype going into this show is actually less about my enjoyment of the show and more about like being able to have conversations, being able to talk to other people who have never played the game, who don't even play games, period,
Like who?
about. I mean, my boss came in. My boss who doesn't give a shit about video games came into my office the other day and asked me if I was going to watch The Last of Us, and I was like, "Yes, are you going to watch The Last of Us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I watched my son play that entire game, and it was awesome."
Okay,
And
so
I was
again, he
like,
doesn't count. He doesn't count. Like who's watching this as like, oh, there's a new zombie show on the television. See
"Well,
what this
I
one's all about.
did watch it with two people who are, I mean, albeit one of the people I watched it with was someone who has never played the game but does play games, but has just never doesn't know the story at all. I mean, he knows the loose narrative setup, and he's like, that looks interesting, but he doesn't know anything about the
Is it
trajectory of the
Joel?
characters. Yeah, yes, Crispy, it's Joel.
Hey, tell Joel to fucking play a video game for once in his life. God.
God, what a fucking
I'll do
loser.
that. And his wife, who literally we started the show, and 5 minutes in, she goes, "Wait a second, pause it. Is this a horror show?" And I was like, "Okay, well, she's going in real
Is it a
blind."
horror show? That's
I
the
mean,
question, right? Because I
well,
would say the game is not a horror game, but I
you're
feel
reading too much into
like
that question. It was like it's basically saying, "Is this a show about zombies, which are inherently
it's a Walking Dead like,
scary?"
right?
Sure, but you would certain people would still call The Walking Dead a horror show because it is inherently meant to be tense and
No, I'm not
atmospheric.
mad at that.
Let's not split hairs and argue about whether it's a horror show or
You're
not.
right. You're right.
That's
I will
dumb.
say though, so I guess okay. So the big difference between the show and I guess the game is that they spend a lot more time in that opening scene, right? Because
Well, I
in the
think that's
game
going to be a
you
common
play a little
thread
bit of
throughout the.
Sarah, but it's like 5 minutes, right? Really, at the beginning of The Last of Us,
It's
where
like
you're playing
10,
as
10,
Joel's
15.
daughter.
They do show in yeah. I mean, it's pretty brief. They open the show in an
Here, it's
interesting
like
way.
half the episode. It's like half the episode is
It's
that
the first 30 to
flashback.
40 minutes of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
And
gave
that stuff
them.
was good. I mean, I would say that was like the stronger part of the show, like for sure. And during those moments, there were like, oh well, this is like a traditional horror movie shot here, and this is not the kind of stuff that was in The
The
Last
game.
of Us, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think of the scene with the the like the old lady in the background, right?
Yeah.
Like
Where they keep it out of focus.
that's such a horror movie shot, right? And
Yeah.
that is the vibe that vibe specifically is nowhere near the Last of Us game,
Well, yes and no, because
which is interesting to me because like what I'm saying is no one's ever like scared playing The Last of Us. It's like a post-apocalyptic zombie action game, right? Like I was never like
mm,
I'm talking about like this is a scary game. I don't know if I can continue.
I
Like
will
that
say
is not the
this.
vibe of The Last of Us, and I feel like I would be interesting if the show does have moments of like this is really scary. I'm grabbing my blanket, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a human drama kind of thing. There's a reason why
yeah,
they're like hiring the people that made Chernobyl to do it and not
yeah,
like,
Yeah. Well, I will say this because you know, when I play The Last of Us, that opening scene, and I get what you're saying. I get the distinction you're trying to make between horror and what
yeah.
The Last of
I
Us
mean,
is.
it's called The
When,
Last of Us. It's human drama.
completely.
but when I play especially the opening sequence of The Last of Us, even long after I knew what was happening, but especially obviously the first time I played it, I was genuinely freaked out
Yeah,
playing that
yeah.
because that shit made me. It's so grounded, and it puts you in the middle of of that really horrifying situation as a young,
You know,
for all intents and purposes, young defenseless person. Like it's horrifying, and I thought it was really interesting that the show still managed to like keep it kind of in her, even though you're not seeing the show from a person's perspective technically like you would in a video game. It still managed to kind of keep it.
oh, well, that's not true.
I mean, it's just different because when you are playing The Last of Us, you are playing that opening sequence as Sarah,
Right.
and in the show, you spend a lot of time watching. Like it's not even really about Joel. It's like I mean,
You're
they're
just watching
introducing
her carry on throughout her day, and then
Yeah,
you know
The
you're
perspective
seeing
is a
all this
little
stuff
more
happening.
fluid.
Yes,
but it's
that's.
not. It's not. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But like even because I think that the interesting thing to watch as the show starts to unravel over the course of the season is like they are gonna. It seems to me obviously they're gonna try and stay very true to that story, but the ways they're going to find to one kind of kind of imitate what happened in the game while also diverging from your expectations. I think that's where it's going to get really interesting. Um, but like that opening's like when they're in the car, it feels just like the game. Like just because like the camera's in the back seat of the car with Sarah, just like it is in the game, right? You're kind of seeing like she's looking over Joel and Tommy's shoulder and stuff, and it's all kind of from her perspective. Like I thought it was really smart to identify like that is very specifically what made the opening of that game so effective. Let's keep that. Let's stay true to that.
And that was like, to me, that was like the strongest part of that episode, because when they got to like the 20 years later, it reminded me that like I didn't like the first couple hours of The Last of Us. I remember like specifically that it wasn't until Joel and Ellie hit the road that I really started to get into those characters and that story. And I'm sitting there watching the back half of that episode, kind of like,
I mean, I think
I
that
can't
stuff
wait
is
till they get out of this part of the
Yeah.
story, because I kind of don't care about this yet. You know,
You're right.
I almost wish
I
the
think
whole
that stuff.
first episode was just with Sarah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't have been bad. I think that stuff that happens in the Boston quarantine zone is important, but I feel the exact same way as you. Like when I play the game, I am eager to get out of that part because it's one of my least favorite parts of the whole game. And it feels kind of that way in the show, but it also feels pretty important as far as painting a picture of who Joel is and what's changed about him. And I think
but
that
you don't even get that stuff till later. Really.
I was kind of bummed because I was like, oh, this episode's gonna end with them actually leaving the quarantine zone, and then it's like all the shit that I actually really want to see isn't gonna start until next week. So that kind of sucks.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to derail the conversation, but
Right.
when we were talking about like that difference between horror and drama, or like whatever whatever you want to classify The Last of Us as, I think the clue that it is not specifically a horror show is in that narrative decision to set the story 20 years after this whole like zombie apocalypse thing happens.
Right.
Because by that point, like what is scary, like the reason why you might say The Walking Dead is a horror show, but The Last of Us isn't, is because that's like an emergent situation that is not normal for those characters. And The Last of Us, that's just kind of like what the world is, you know? It sucks. Yeah. We wouldn't want to live there.
It's a post-apocalyptic story.
The only kind of people who remember things the way it was are people like Joel, and there are not a lot of people like Joel who are both like, you know, old and still
kicking.
Yeah, you know, still human.
Yeah, you know, that's a good distinction to make. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just had.
But it is but it is cool that they did play with I think they realized they had an opportunity to play in that sandbox, that horror sandbox, a little bit, because they really kind of lean into it in the opening of the show, which I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting tension, and I was honestly expecting that whole sequence to be kind of about as long as it was in the game, and they managed to kind of stretch it out, play with it, and make it feel refreshing while also being very, very familiar, which was really cool to see play out.
Sure.
I haven't played The Last of Us since it came out. I've never replayed it, and so some of the details are a little fuzzy for me.
Well,
but I still feel like I remember large portions of that game. But I thought, were they at the end of this episode? Were they leaving Boston?
Yeah, they literally walk through They literally leave the quarantine zone at the end of this episode.
But Tess is with them?
Yes.
Is that how it happened in the game?
Yes.
Tess goes with them for a little while, at least until they get to the capital, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I had just forgotten. I didn't know she had left Boston. I thought the whole Tess thing was
she leaves the like quarantine zone with them. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where they are.
That whole sequence in the game where they're like going through through that skyscraper that's kind of collapsed and everything. Like she's with them for that entire thing.
So yeah, it wasn't till after like Tess is no longer part of the story that I started to kind of get into it a little bit.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I mean, I was, part of me going into this, I was like super excited, but I was also like, I have a feeling we're not going to kind of get to like the real meat of the show until after this first episode, which it is what it is. But they did get it. We did get a chance to kind of like get comfortable with the actors who are now playing these characters, who obviously we have already had these associations with for so long, with the way they've been portrayed in the game. Brad, what did you think of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey?
I
Obviously,
mean, fine. I mean, yeah, I think they were both fine, good.
yeah.
I don't know what if I expected them to like. Not, I mean, they meet expectations. I think
Yeah,
they're fine.
I mean, we
don't
didn't
know.
really. I don't think we get I do remember
need
there
to
were
see
several
more,
moments.
obviously.
Yeah, I need to see more too. But there were several moments in this first episode where I was like, I think it was there's a moment where we get to see them interact very briefly when they first meet. There's that hallway sequence, whatever, and I was like, I like this a lot.
That was a pretty good scene, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And
But it's
the
also
scenes
frustrating for me for like dumb nerdy
Mhm.
reasons. Like, obviously, Ellie is really important in
Yes.
this world, right?
Right.
And they're just like, okay, man, you just need to take this fucking girl and we'll fucking meet you like tomorrow or something. But it's like, shouldn't they have maybe told him what the deal was with her like ahead of time? Because it's such an important thing, so that he was treating that situation like more delicately than maybe he was. You know
I
what I
think
mean? It's like, this is really
I think
important.
there are.
You
I
need to
think
take
there
this
are.
very seriously, and
Sure,
here's
sure.
why.
I
Like,
do think there are
I was like,
arguments to
why,
be made.
why?
No, I do think there are arguments to be made for like maybe why that she made that decision, and I think a lot of that kind of drills down to Marlene's comment about "I know what both of y'all are capable of," and Ellie's like, "What are they capable of?" And maybe she didn't. Maybe she trusts Joel, but doesn't trust him because he is a smuggler, right? He is essentially like at this point in the show, he's a fucking smuggler slash drug dealer slash. You know what I mean? Like seem to he doesn't seem to have the most
Oh,
moral.
see,
The
Ichi's brings up a good point though, right? There's the whole scene of like the COVID check or whatever, right? It's like
yeah.
that's what I'm talking about, right? Their instincts will be like, oh, we need to kill this person immediately because she tested positive for zombie, right? So,
Yes.
but that's why you let them in on what's going on before you have them like start the smuggle process, because they could have easily just been like, oh well, this is what we've been doing in this world for the past 20 years, let's just put a bullet in their head and move on with our fucking life. Don't you think there was a risk of that happening?
Probably, yeah.
Or
I
like,
mean,
what if she just got bit, on the way, right? Oh well, I guess
well,
we got to put a bullet in her fucking head. That's what you
the
do in this world. Tell him what's going on. It's insane.
you're right, but that is a narrative hiccup that I think is it's just as valid in the game as it is in the show, and they did it this way for dramatic purposes, I'm sure, but also it's a
Yeah,
trust thing,
sure.
and you got to
Again, that's why I
remember
said it's like a nerdy complaint, I
and you
guess.
got to remember that like the initial journey that they were sent on was not here take this girl across the country. It was take this girl to the outskirts of the city and hand her off
True, but even
tomorrow.
then, true, but even then,
Sure.
yeah.
But
I mean,
I'm
it's good. I mean, I feel like it kind of ended like, oh, okay, like there wasn't like some big like, oh, the fucking end of Lost or whatever. I mean, there's no, it just sort of ended. And maybe is it because I have knowledge of the story? Like, was it actually? Maybe I should put it this way. I feel like it was pretty well like pretty obviously telegraphed that like, oh, she's immune, right? Like
Mhm.
the whole setup with Marlene and everything of like, oh, they're going and they're asking her these questions every single day, right?
I will
Like
say
I feel like that's pretty clearly telegraphed. So to have the cliffhanger at the end of the episode be like, oh my god, she's immune, is like, well, of course she is. Y'all been suggesting that the entire
I mean
episode. So like, is that really how you're going to end this first episode? I feel like this should be a big. That's why I kind of wish it ended with, the
I will
death
say
of
this,
Sarah.
I they probably recognized that too. Like they needed that kind of wow moment, wow factor at the end of the episode. And I think the thing that they did to kind of like mix it up and maybe make that ending that they went with more exciting was kind of that slight addition to the scene. And maybe we should have
Which
prefaced
was
this with a little bit of spoiler warning. But they introduced that like PTSD kind of aspect to that scene at the end, which I thought was a nice touch.
Oh, yeah, I guess. I mean, is that sort of thing wasn't in the game at all?
No, that was not, that was new to the show, and that's kind of an example of like the stuff that I think is going to make this stand out. And obviously we've seen glimpses of things that are going to come later in the show that are going to make it stand out and make it feel different than the game. But we haven't gotten to those points.
So is the idea that he would not have killed that guard if it wasn't for like
no. I mean,
PTSD?
in the game, they
they were going to have to kill that guard regardless.
Well, in the game they kill the guard, but she stabs the dude in the leg, and then Joel and Tess both take the opportunity to like tackle the guards and take him out. But like in the show, he has that kind of like, that flash of
sure,
PTSD.
But I think that could still
nice.
just be like a thing for that moment. I don't even think it has to be like a continuing story thread necessarily.
We'll see. I mean, the thing is, like, this is their opportunity because it's not a game. Like, a game, the moments in between those big character dramatic moments are going to be filled with gameplay. Here, they don't really have to do that. They have an opportunity to really explore, like, the character stuff and the drama that happens.
Which is maybe what was my issue with that back half of the episode. There was like zero zombie stuff.
Yeah, we didn't get any more zombie stuff. I mean, they found
like you would think that there would be like maybe a little tiny scene, especially because it's the first episode, big budget HBO show. Maybe there would just be like a little one-off scene, like him and Tess do run into like a dead one, but like I'm surprised that just wasn't like a live one, just to give a little action to the viewers, especially the people not familiar with the story.
Honestly, while I was watching the episode, and I had that exact thought, and I was like, this episode's about to end without any more interactions with like infected. And my first thought was like, I'm wondering if this is going to be clicking with people who are watching this for the first time, who aren't like familiar with it. I was like, is this going to review poorly because they didn't do enough to kind of like tease
we can't look at reviews,
the good stuff.
Reviews are
maybe
always
more
like
if you're expecting it to be a horror show.
Yeah, maybe. But to that, despite that, creative choice or whatever, reception wise, like just talking about people talking about it on social media, not even looking at critical reviews, which have been very positive, but like people are fucking into it. Like the reception to this first episode has been pretty positive, almost universally positive, at least in my,
Well, I hate to break it to you, but like the mainstream likes themselves some zombie fiction.
I mean, that's true, and I like me some zombie fiction myself, admittedly, but I also just like, this is one of my favorite stories in gaming, or I mean, and maybe it's lame of me to admit this, but like, this is one of my favorite stories, kind of period. I mean, I know it's simple and kind of cliche, but like I Joel and Ellie's story, I adore it. So seeing it make the jump to this new medium is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a really good story.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I mean, it's weird to say I'm excited to see where it goes because I know where it's going to go. But for whatever reason, they're gonna be, it was funny. This came up in chat the other day because I was like, everyone's like, oh man, I can't, like, people are already having that conversation of like, if this gets renewed, we're gonna get The Last of Us Part 2, and it's gonna be crazy. And then people was like, oh no, then we're gonna start this whole cycle all over again where people are gonna have the same reactions.
There is zero chance that season 2 is The Last of Us 2. They're gonna have, there's no way. They're going to make seasons in between.
I don't think so. They have already.
They fucking have to. Like if this is gonna be popular and blow up or whatever, then they can't immediately do The Last of Us 2.
I think they could. Well, one thing I will say
Chernobyl was popular.
Chernobyl was popular, and that's obviously.
But
I know what you're saying, Brad. They're trying to position this as like the new Game of Thrones, like HBO's new big thing, right? Yeah, and you can't just have 2 seasons of
and then but I do think you're gonna run into the same issue that they did at the very end of Game of Thrones, and nobody wants that. If and there's a lot of time that passes in between those two games.
Sure.
Like,
I
Do you
think
think
they'll
don't fuck with the after, because
Isn't
it's like the George R. R. Martin situation, right? You don't want to fuck with the stuff that hasn't actually officially been released. But is a story that will be told. You like, if you're gonna fuck around with the story and the characters, do it in the filler period, right?
isn't
Because
HBO's new Game of Thrones Game of Thrones?
Yes. I mean, yes. House of the Dragon is their new Game of Thrones, right? But like,
and like the 7 other spin-offs they're doing.
yes.
what they'll
they're doing
probably
one, really?
what they'll probably do in mind.
Honestly. Oh, go ahead, Chris Davis.
I was gonna say what they're probably gonna do is make, if they want to take the artistically appropriate direction with multiple seasons of this first game story, they will split up each season into actual time seasons like the first game.
No. This first season of the show is the entire first game. I can tell you that with like 99.9% certainty.
I think that would be disappointing.
No. I can tell you right now, like that is pretty much already been confirmed by
Operating
everyone
room
involved.
scene and everything. You think it's gonna end with the question?
Yes, I think.
Well,
I
how are they going to
absolutely
pose
think
it this time, you think?
Must be
Probably
the same.
considering how closely they're sticking to like some of the language. Like there are scenes in this and dialogue in this show that is word for word out of the game. I'm
think-
almost positive that's one thing they're not going to fuck with.
I think
That's
if you
just
want to
my
talk about like what Nick was talking about earlier in the conversation, that like difference between video game and TV adaptation as it pertains to perspective, the operating room scene, we're going to have the exact same conversations about that scene over and over again, and they're going to be compounded by the fact that like this time you are just watching it. You are watching a single character behave in the way that the show chooses to characterize that character. It's not like a role play moment for a player. You know what I mean?
Right.
I also think like there's too many narrative beats that would just be so good for a mid-season or season finale in the first game that they
Just
wouldn't
get that
want
out
to
of your head, Chris
stretch
David.
it
That's
out.
not happening. That's not
It's
happening.
already done.
Yeah.
This
already,
whole
like-
thing a shot. It's
We don't make TV shows planning for 3 or 4 or 5 seasons anymore. That's just not the world we live in.
You know what I will say? The effect that Game of Thrones is probably going to have, because personally, one, I think Brad is right. If they were going to create new stories, it would be in the interim, not post The Last of Us 2.
Okay.
But I do think if they jump straight to The Last of Us 2, they could easily split that into 2 seasons, because the story itself is already basically 2 stories.
You know who makes shows?
Or,
You know who makes shows like
alongside
you're
each other.
describing, Chris Davis? Amazon, and they spend $2 billion doing it. So
Yeah, but they do get eyes on it. So,
and I mean, and they're getting plenty of eyes on this at this point.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
the one thing that I think Game of Thrones might be doing, which might work to their favor, because once you start like trying to milk it beyond the source material we already have, you know, you run the risk of ruining a good thing, obviously. But like Game of Thrones, which is funny because they're kind of doing that with Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones, or House, in this case, House of the Dragon existing, which I'm sure they have multiple seasons planned. I don't think they care if they're like, we're gonna do 2 seasons or 3 seasons of the show and be done with it. I feel like HBO would be like, that's fine. We have House of the Dragon. That shit's gonna go on for like 8 or 9 seasons. Whatever. The Last of Us
House
is
of the
great,
Dragon
but we got that. What's that?
yeah.
House of the Dragon probably won't go on for 8 or 9 seasons.
yeah, no way.
And also,
think
I would
so?
agree with you if we weren't living in an age when WB Discovery owns HBO. What now? Let me pivot and ask you a question. What would you think, like, if you wanted to expand The Last of Us beyond a single season for just one game, as you're supposing it will be? What would you say to
Supposing
like?
anything. This is fact, Chris.
As
Davis.
you're
This is
completely
confirmed.
pulling it out of your ass.
Has it been fully come out and said
Yes.
that it really?
Dude,
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that
Okay,
was
I
fine.
did not
You
know that.
mentioned
I
trailers.
apologize.
Not to
Okay.
Have you
mention,
seen
if you
any
watch
of these trailers?
No,
the
I haven't watched
preview-
any of the trailers.
If you watch the trailer that they just released at the end of this last episode, that's like in the coming weeks on The Last of Us, it shows
like the
him in the
whole thing.
hospital.
They even
Okay,
have
all right,
Left
I didn't
Behind.
know.
They
I
even
didn't
have
know.
Left Behind.
They even do Left
as
Behind,
part of
yeah.
this season.
Oh, I know about the Left
yeah.
Behind, but yeah, I haven't watched it. Well, what would you say about season 2 being about Marlene's journey to Salt Lake City?
Boo!
mean-
She's a lame character. I
I
don't
don't
Joel
think she's a
Ellie.
lame character. She's a conflicted
Ellie-
character.
I mean, she's a great character, but I don't think she could carry a game. But I mean, especially when you have everyone's just going to
You
be
mean
like,
a
"What's going on
season
with
of
Joel Ellie?"
television?
People are just going to be asking what's going on with Joel and Ellie the entire time. but you know, anything could happen. But
Also, I mean, Pedro I mean, look, he's like, I don't think he's gonna be the kind of actor who's gonna commit to like 8 seasons of a show. Really, he's got
I mean,
other
he's
shit
done
going
3
on.
seasons of The Mandalorian already.
So
Yeah, but
But
that's
also,
Disney money.
how much? Well, here's the
well,
question.
and he only
How much
voices
does?
on that. Really,
Yeah, I was like,
so,
how much does he actually? Is he actually on set? He's not the one under that
No.
mask, right?
I mean, that's why, like, after the first season, he was like having such a push to have Din take his helmet off more, is because he wanted to actually like act in the show more.
Yeah, and the whole reason they don't have spores on The Last of Us is because he didn't want to be wearing a gas mask every other scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Oh, by the way, that was a really interesting creative difference that they made that I really liked was not the lack of spores, but the fact that they introduced the fungus growing out of their mouth.
what? There's no spores.
There's no spores, which
Then what
is
the
kind of
fuck
strange.
is it?
Because they didn't.
It
want
doesn't
to
make any
interfere in
fucking
gas
sense
masks.
They
anymore.
did. I watched a thing about this. They got rid of the spores, but they've apparently introduced a new creature that kind of is like designed to be like the thing that spreads, that like just goes around with the sole intention of like spreading the infection. I don't know. There's concept art floating around there. It looks weird, but whatever. A cheese
kid is pitching
Kill
my
them and they give
original
you extra
idea.
upgrade materials. They give you rare upgrade materials.
Cheese Kid is pitching my original idea for the Last of Us video game sequel, which I called The Rest of Us, and it was from the zombie perspective.
So it's basically Warm
That
Hearts.
is funny. Oh my god, that is fucking funny. Oh god, there was. Oh no, what I was starting to say so long ago before we got on a tangent or whatever, I was like, we're gonna have this cycle where they're gonna start adapting to The Last of Us Part 2, and then we're gonna have to go through this whole thing again, where now the people who are seeing the story for the first time are gonna see what happens to Joel, and they're gonna lose their collective shit. But then I was like, has Game of Thrones softened the blow a little bit, because we've already seen that happen to Pedro Pascal once?
Yes. Well, no, just Game of Thrones, like, period, right?
That's
like,
true. I mean, Game of Thrones has acclimated people to seeing that kind of shit happen to
the
important
Sean
characters.
Bean scene, you know, it's just
Man,
it'll be interesting, I guess.
Why not let the season 2 be about Abby picking up directly from the hospital? Just tell her story of how she got to Seattle.
Well, I will tell you
how
why.
television shows work, and they want the stars to be the stars. It's not video games can get away with it because you're playing a video game, and you're playing as Abby, but you're still doing cool zombie combat, right?
And
but
also, you still know what's going on with
people aren't
Ellie
signed up to watch a show necessarily about completely different characters. They want to see their star characters. You know what I mean? Game of Thrones. The Last of Us is not Game of Thrones. That whole story follows 2 fucking characters.
I'm not suggesting that it would be.
No. But what I'm saying is you can't just change up those characters because the drama is like those 2 characters. So,
I mean, here's the thing: if they continue beyond season 1, which it sounds like it'd be dumb not to at this point. Of course, they're going to introduce Abby, but you don't just introduce Abby and then get rid of Joel and Ellie. People would not be like, people would be like, what?
No, the headcanon I am imagining is that season 1 is the first game. Season 2 would be the aftermath with Abby going to Seattle. And then season 3 could be, if you want to do that one day, would be The Last of Us Part 2.
That's like saying, okay, we know you love the show. We're going to give you an entire season of a brand chapter or whatever the fuck. And you're like, okay, I guess. But, that's not really, I mean, what? That's not.
Although,
fair.
Here's a question.
An entire season of brand chapters?
Just one long brand chapter.
Are we finally going to find out about Jojen Paste?
I have a question. Because we're kind of talking about Abby a little bit, right? Like, and they're doing this. It's a show, so obviously it's different, and they already have the knowledge of where the game is or where the story goes beyond that first game, right? Do you think when they do the hospital scene in this season, we get a very brief glimpse of Abby?
Oh, they absolutely have to. I think they absolutely have to.
Oh my God, you're talking about like looking through like a door crack or something?
No, it's gonna be that it'll be that Ellie doesn't smash her head, and they make it to the hospital just fine, and they become best friends while they're walking around the hospital.
No,
That's what'll happen.
guys.
They don't let her walk around the hospital. They pretty much take her straight to an operating room. The point is, they have
You're
an
missing
opportunity.
what I said.
They have an opportunity to introduce Abby in this season because we already know she exists. They didn't know she existed when they made the first Last of Us game. You know what I mean? Like, they have that foresight. They could start setting those narrative threads.
I really think this season is going to be written as a single one-off complete product, just in case.
No, yeah, I think you're probably right.
I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to hang out narrative threads.
Have they announced plans to do more? Are we talking about something that doesn't exist?
No, I mean, they have talked about the potential of doing it, but they also talked about it as like, we don't know if it's going to like be successful, so who knows if we're going to do the second season. But like, there's been 10 million views on the first episodes in 2 days, 3 days, or whatever since it launched. Like, it's gonna get renewed, but like, the creatives have not said we don't want to do more seasons. What I was referring to earlier, Chris Davis, was there was an interview, and I forgot who it was. It may have been Neil Druckmann or something, where they said they have no intention of telling stories or going outside the realm of what's already been established in the games, like, which would be antithetical to what Brad said, which is like, tell stories in the interim. Like, it sounds like they don't have any intention of doing that. Obviously, plans can change, money talks. Who the
this
fuck
is all
knows?
Druckmann, huh?
You know,
Yeah, but
he
like,
is
what,
the director
what does
of the
that
second
language
episode.
actually mean? Like, does that mean, oh, we're not going to depict anything that wasn't actually shown on screen in the game? Or is it like, oh, we're not going to do stuff that, like, oh, you remember that adventure we had in Chicago? Oh, that was a hell of a time.
No, I mean, there are creative liberties being taken. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
We can move on.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't put it
we've beaten
past
this horse to death.
I don't think that Sony would have signed up for this and let it go this far and seen its success without having an angle for renewal for years, if not a decade.
I really think that is ignoring the current landscape of television. Like, single season prestige shows are a thing now. Like,
yeah, it absolutely is. But this is also the giant mega corporation responsible for the hit movie Uncharted. Like, they make decisions on a whim, thinking they're a good idea.
Also, do not. I mean, okay, that is a whole nother can of worms, in which you basically have two completely different corporations called Sony who don't like each other and don't want to be together anymore, making decisions kind of without one another.
Okay,
this conversation's done.
Like, okay, real quick, I just want to say, I don't want to sound like a shill here, but I have been listening to that companion podcast that they put out, which
Tell me Druckmann's not on that.
Yes, Druckmann is on it, and Craig Mazin, who's the director of Chernobyl. I mean,
Naughty Druckmann?
Whatever. I really enjoyed listening to all, because I actually listened to the Last of Us podcast they did when The Last of Us 2 came out. They had a whole bunch of episodes, and I really enjoyed that. To me, that elevated playing that game, and they're doing the same thing with the show, and it has Craig Mazin on it, and I've really been enjoying the conversations. But he talks about how the project all came to be, whatever, and it literally, HBO went to Craig Mazin and said, after he did Chernobyl, and were like, what do you want to do next? It's up to you. And he pitched The Last of Us to Neil Druckmann. And that's how this project started. So,
you're saying this is like, you gave us Chernobyl, so now we're going to do one for you, and you call the shots.
No, I mean, it sounds like they just had a lot of trust in Craig Mazin, and he did a really great one-off show. I don't think there was ever a guarantee that this was going to turn into like an 8-season thing, or that was the plan from the get-go. It just sounds like if it's successful, let's see what happens, and if you want to take it beyond a season, you can take it beyond a season.
I'd be super happy with it being a one-off thing too, especially because I think the most interesting narrative moment of the entire story is like the very, very, I mean, the last line, right? That's such like a cool, like, tense way to end a story. Of course, they still made a sequel that it got crazy, but it would be cool if the show was just the show, just that first game. I think that works Maybe that
Yeah.
is what it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
who knows? All right, like Crispy said, I think this conversation is done for now. We'll probably talk about it again. We
And
got
you
time to
Can I
thought we
just
discuss
say,
wouldn't have
this.
anything to talk about, Nick.
Do you think we'll do 39 minutes on the Twisted Metal show when that finally drops?
Hell yeah.
Yes,
Dude,
we
what's his
will.
face? What's his face is gonna be one of the stoner guys.
The who?
Some
Anthony
comedian.
Mackie?
No, he
What?
Isn't he in the
No.
show though?
Yeah, he's
Anthony
in the show.
Mackie's in the show?
Anthony Mackie's the star of the show. He's playing
Sweet Tooth.
no, he's not
What?
playing Sweet
No,
Tooth.
he's not Sweet
Sweet
Tooth.
Tooth is
I'm just naming characters.
I think he's
now.
like
I don't
a
know.
detective tracking
Big
down
Wheel.
Sweet Tooth.
Or Axel or whatever that guy's called.
no Sweet Tooth is what's his face from the Lego show. Sorry, I can only speak in reality TV.
Are you serious?
Will
Sweet Tooth
Arnett?
is-
Oh,
Will Arnett.
yeah, he's voicing. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Which
accept
means
that.
I don't know what the show's gonna be.
Brad, if you want to
It's
have a
gonna
30-minute conversation about Twisted Metal, when that
39,
drops,
40 minutes.
40-minute conversation about Twisted Metal, we'll do it.
I think one of the guys from the Doughboys podcast is in the show. Is what I was.
Nev Campbell is Raven. Nick, are you
Oh,
you excited?
Fuck yes, I am. In that case, you bring it on.
Thomas
I'll talk
Hayden Church is Agent Stone. That's good casting, man.
Fuck
What is this show? Why are they doing this? Why is this a
The
thing?
question is this: do you think that show will ever see the light of day? Do you think they're
Especially
actually
if The
making
Last
that?
of
Or
what
Us-
are you talking
especially
about?
if The
Like the
Last of Us
show's
does
already
well.
like been filming, I think.
that is
Anthony
fascinating.
Mackie's John Doe. Yeah,
Dude,
he
we
plays.
live in a weird age of content, man. Anything's possible now.
Man, I can't wait. Actually, I can't wait to talk about that on this fucking podcast. All right, let's wrap this show up with the 4-player minute. You know how it works. Brad, why don't you start us off?
Mr. Grimm. Sorry. Let me look it up. I think I wrote something down. What am I going to talk about? Oh, yes. My final thought for player minute is going to be we got to work on the branding of this segment. I feel like we got to clean this one up a little bit.
What, the 4-player minute?
Yeah, the 4-player minute. Like we don't even know what it is.
It's
Like, we sort
been
of all
12
agree-
years. We should figure it out.
It's
Yeah.
been 15 years. We should figure it out. God of
think
Well,
War.
we'll do that when we get to
Ragnarok.
season 2.
Man, I fell off of God of War Ragnarok pretty hard.
Oh my
But
god!
I knew
let
that
me-
was going
let
to
me-
happen.
No.
But the thing is, like, it was always the last time I played this game, I was in the place with the fucking Freya. I mean, I don't know. All I know is I was leaving this area after doing all the main quest stuff, and there was a boar, and they're like, "Oh, follow that." Not a boar. It was like some animal. They're like, "Follow that animal," and I'm like, "I guess we could follow that animal." It was like one of those blue things, right? Like do this side quest, like a blue, like a favor or whatever. So I guess I'll follow this thing through the woods, and it took me to like an area out in the desert or the crater or whatever.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's like 10 hours of content and like side quests and like new mechanics and just
There's-
constant like blue side quest, blue side quest, blue side. It's just insane. It's like the game has no chill. And just because I followed this one animal into the woods, now I've discovered an entire new video game, and I'm like, well, this is like, I guess, the good stuff, right? The stuff you're supposed
are
to
you
do.
in the-
But I'm like, this is too much. This is too much. I'm just gonna go into that fast travel portal, the doors. I'm just gonna go back to my home, and I'm gonna progress the main story. But up to that point, I've been doing everything. I've been like doing all the side stuff.
Wait,
all
are you
the side
talking about
questing.
Are you talking about on in the realm that has
The
like
swamp?
you're
The
and
swamp
you got to
realm.
the big open area with the dragons and you just walked away from it?
No, I did like fucking 5 hours of that shit, and it was like never ending. And I was like, this is insane. I kind of just want to like see where this story goes, but it's insane. Like how much shit there is there. And I sort of had this moment where I wavered, and I'm like, I'm just gonna hop through this door, because you see so many of those fast travel doors with the big little orange waypoint on it that says continue the main story. And I had a moment of weakness, right? Just because it takes a long time to get around that fucking game, of course. And I'm like, you're changing day to night, it's just a lot. It's a lot. You get to the area like, this is This is a lot. This is ridiculous. They had too much money. They worked on this game for too long. This is absurd. It's absurd. This game should not have this much in it,
It's
but
so
it
good.
does. But like, yeah, I guess whatever. That stuff is good. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there. You know, I want to fight a dragon or like 6 of them or whatever the fuck is in that area, right? It's absurd. And I'm like, but I wavered and I went through that door and I just continued on with the main story. And ever since that, I was like, oh no, I ruined it. I can't do this anymore. I should have just kept playing it the way I was playing it. Now I kind of don't care about it because to me, the best parts of God of War are in those moments where there's a lot of stuff to do and everything is like self-paced, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna, get this piece of armor, I'm gonna talk to this character, I'm gonna upgrade this, I'm gonna fight this hard side boss, right? This Valkyrie. That's when it's at its best, when I'm sort of steering it and there's a lot of stuff to do. But the pacing through the main story is where I get like the most frustrated, where it's like, oh, this is required and it's making me do all these bad puzzles that I've already done before. This is not good pacing. And I'm like, I don't think I can enjoy the game if I just crit path it. And ever since then, I've been thinking about that and I don't want to turn it back on. And one of the reasons is the more I've heard people talk about like the end of this game, and it was on one of these Game of the Year podcasts. I think it was one of the ones Dan Reichert was on, and he was like, I don't even remember what happened at the end of God of War Ragnarok. I don't remember how that game ended. And I'm like, if he doesn't even remember how
Dude,
it ended, it
I
can't
have
be
a
like
terrible.
that exciting.
I have a
Dan
terrible
Reichert is a
memory.
human enigma. Like I don't
Sure,
think
He
he's
is.
sure,
a.
but that's a powerful statement. He had just finished the game like
And you're
the
gonna,
prior week, and he's like, I don't even remember how it ended. And it's like, it's obviously not going to end that like phenomenally,
dude.
right?
It's got a great ending. Oh my
He's not the only
god.
person who I've heard say that. How it just kind of like gets a little too involved in there, and there's too much going
Long in the
on, too many
tooth.
characters, too many
Watching you try
moving
to play this
parts,
game is
and it just sort
painful.
of ends, and it's like, do I want to do this? But the thing
Dude,
is, I've played
it's
so much of it. I've played so much of this game that it would be crazy for me to
Brad.
just stop. But it's
It.
hard to turn it back on.
You're
It's
not
hard,
enjoying
and
it,
I'd
Brad.
rather watch 60 days in. No, it's one of those games that I enjoy it when I play it,
Oh
but
my god,
it's
this is
it's
so
turning it back
painful.
on. Is it painful?
I
I
think
don't think I
so.
don't think my opinion is unique. You ask our fucking
I didn't
community,
say
and
it
they're
was
like
unique.
hostile towards God of War Ragnarok.
They're hostile
Like
towards fucking everything. The
no,
internet
no,
is hostile towards
no. I'm
everything.
just saying, like there's people who played through that game and were just kind of like, it's okay. And like I was not expecting that. I'm not even was really not even really experiencing that. But again, just when it's not on, it's hard for me to turn on. And now I'm in this weird place where like I've officially kicked to the curb all the stuff I kind of enjoyed doing, even though I'm interested in the story. And it's like
It
it's
sounds like
hard. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a hard game to turn on at the very end of the day when you're really fucking tired and you still got to get up early because fucking kids and shit, right? It's a hard game to turn on. I'm telling you.
well, maybe I
It's
mean
not
maybe
weird. It's not unique.
if that's the
It's
it
not Elden Ring. It's not,
is
some
is
crazy
that the missing
addictive.
element here? Is it because
No, it's just
Dan
not.
Reichert has kids too, right? Doesn't he? Like, is that?
No,
No, he
he has no
doesn't.
fucking kids.
Oh,
But
never
that's
mind.
not the point. Stop trying to like justify that some people don't love this game as much as
I'm
you.
not, dude.
But
It's no, it's
I'm
not that you
saying
don't like it. It's that you sound like you don't want to admit that you don't like it, and it's just painful to watch. Like, if you don't like it,
I
you should have
don't
put it
play
down like
games I
30
don't like
hours
for
ago.
40 hours. I don't play games I don't like for 40 hours. Did you not listen to what I said about how when the game gives you the fucking steering wheel that I'm fucking enjoying it? That's a lot of that fucking game. A lot of
Yes.
it.
Sounds like you
I
shot
like
yourself
the
in the foot, and now
combat.
you're mad at yourself.
I'm mad at the game for not being more enticing in its main story thrust. Or the main gameplay crit path stuff. I guess. I don't fucking know. I'm wrestling with this one, and I don't know if I'm
I
gonna
think
turn it
this
back
all
on.
stems from.
But
I
the
think this stems
further I
from the
get
fact
away
that
with
Brett
it,
hates
the more
Norse mythology.
I do hate Norse mythology, or I don't care about Norse mythology, but I like, the characters that as presented in this game. So that's something. Yeah, I think you want me to admit that I'm not liking it as some sort of like, oh, we could put this to rest, but it's more than it's not that simple. It's not that fucking simple. I want the desire to keep going, the urge to keep going, but it's not there. And the further I get away from it, the more worried I'll drop it. And I don't that would be really disappointing to me because I played a lot of it, and I do kind of want to see how this ends, quote unquote.
You know, the
ends.
only reason I say this, right, is because there's been so many occasions where you have told me that I should just put something down because it sounds like I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah, but you fucking nerd, you didn't play 40 hours of Ghostwire Tokyo. You played like 6 and said it was lame.
No, I've played about 12 hours of it.
Okay. And said it was lame.
All right. Your 4-player minute has gone on long enough.
True.
Chris Davis. Are
My
you
four
muted? Oh, no, you're not. Sorry.
No, I'm
I
not.
thought you were muted for a second.
Had to think for a second because Brad's rant threw me
You've had
off.
all this time to think.
Yeah, but I was invested in Brad's rant because he was getting progressively angry over something that I feel is so minor. But anyway, my 4-player minute is me being salty about a lot of things. This has not been a good week for me. This has not been a good week for a lot of people. Like the fact that Microsoft hit 10,000 of their employees with layoffs and
Affecting Bethesda and what was the other studio? Was it
343?
Wait, the
343? That's right.
The studio making Starfield?
Yes.
Yeah.
The studio making Starfield.
Well, I wouldn't
and
want to have that on my list.
343.
Okay, that's not like a
God damn
great
it.
time to joke about our list, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of layoffs at 343.
Yeah.
I'm when they say Bethesda, that's a lot of stuff. I'm a little worried about some of the stuff that they probably never wanted in the first place, like Tango Gameworks, right? Microsoft didn't buy Bethesda because they wanted Tango, because they wanted Evil Within 3. They wanted, that's
They
just
wanted Elder
one of
Scrolls
the
and
things they kind of
Fallout.
got with the
Yeah.
purchase. So I worry about, smaller, less successful studios like that within
Oh, you're right.
Bethesda for sure.
Yeah, but it feels like
But yeah,
there's
it's crazy that Halo is a big failure, I guess, for them, whatever the fuck this means.
Yeah, it's evidently a really big failure of leadership. Like, if you hear the rumors, like, supposedly all the campaign DLC that was intended for Infinite for the next several years has been canceled, and 343
shit.
is being repurposed to be a franchise controller, and development of games is going to shift to contract studios. Like,
Does that mean that Infinite isn't going to be that like platform that they were saying it's going to be?
I think it means
sound like
it was
it.
just a mediocre open world game.
the
No,
implication.
but the idea was that like, yeah.
They were pitching this as the future of
No,
Halo.
I
as
know.
like
The
a
story-
long-running
the
thing.
story is
fucking
very,
long,
like-
and obviously it didn't make the money back because
Prelude to
whatever,
something.
the Game Pass Utopia failed, I guess. Failed Halo at least.
Like, but the implication is that the campaign stuff is dead. The narrative campaign Halo games will come out in the future, but they're going to be from other studios like Certain Affinity and stuff like that. But all
That's
their
weird.
multiplayer stuff is going forward. So, but they've done such a good job supporting that game in this first year and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
At least co-op finally dropped, right?
Yeah. I mean, it did, and evidently it's really good. So, I mean, I do kind of want to try it again, but I don't want to play it right now.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You're right.
What the fuck?
That is really fucking terrible, and I do regret joking about it.
Yeah. Also, fandom hit Giant Bomb and GameSpot with layoffs today. Like Jess O'Brien and Jason Oestreicher. Jason, who is one of the most senior and the last of the old crew of Giant Bomb, got laid off. Like, that's
Jesus Christ.
fucking bullshit.
Didn't Riot also have like a huge swath of layoffs?
Yeah, they lost 48 people. And I would not be surprised if those 48 people were some of those that walked out in 2019. I bet you there's more to the story than is being told. So,
Damn. Yeah, it's been a rough week, huh?
It's getting weird out there.
It's a rough week to be in tech or journalism, and it's probably only going to get worse for a little while. Yeah.
These Microsoft layoffs, I think someone said that happened exactly 1 year after the acquisition of Bethesda or whatever.
No,
Something like
it's
that.
the
Or
1 year
no,
anniversary of the announcement of the acquisition of
of
Activision.
Activision. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a good look.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
and then Blizzard Activision had that whole thing with NetEase too.
which thing? NetEase.
NetEase is the Chinese developer that they've been partnered with for like 15 years, and they came up for contract review again, but there was some disputes about the terms. But Activision Blizzard publicly stated that NetEase re-signed, and NetEase said no, fuck you, and like not only didn't resign, but like apparently made a big thing of like tearing down their giant orc statue on their campus in China. like fucking
Yikes.
like
So-
bad
Oh.
blood.
Yeah.
Oh,
So if
and
I
don't-
remember
don't forget-
correctly,
Oh, go ahead.
if I remember correctly, like it was evidently there's some bad blood between the negotiation teams, and it got to the point to where not only did NetEase not renew the contract, all the games that they have been the gateway to for the Chinese market for to play online, evidently those are going to go offline in the next month or so, like World of
Yeah.
Warcraft and stuff.
Like
Damn.
Hearthstone.
Yeah, Hearthstone.
That's gonna be
Shit's hitting the fan.
Bad.
Also, and speaking of horrible things, don't forget about Ubisoft and what's his face?
Eve Guillemot.
Eve Guillemot making that comment about, the ball's in your court, and telling it, basically saying our success depends on your. He's talking specifically to the employees at Ubisoft. Like the ball's in
Yeah.
your court to make.
Developers.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to keep the doors open.
And like
Yeah.
evidently in the
And
past week,
they canceled a bunch of projects and stuff, right? But
yeah,
and they went out and said that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still alive and unaffected by
fucking-
these.
Oh, I don't
cancellations.
think they said, like, a journalist said it or something.
Oh,
Like
And they
like
didn't-
that.
Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, like whoever was doing like the big expose on like the current situation at Ubisoft, somebody asked them, "Is Beyond Good and Evil still a thing?" And he's like, "Yes," but
As long
No,
as Joseph
still a thing.
Gordon-Levitt gives
no,
breath,
yeah, like
the
no,
Beyond Good and Evil 2 dream will be
no
alive.
details about what that means.
Yeah,
But the hope's out
alright.
there, boys.
I don't think it is. Crispy, what's your 4-player minute?
Hey, Brad, you're the resident trash TV expert. Have you been watching MILF Manor?
No, what is that on? TV's
I think
hard.
it's-
I
I think
don't know anything else.
It's like TLC, I think.
he asked this question so
MILF
he can find
Manor.
out.
Yeah.
I'm just
Tell me
curious. It's
more,
like
tell me more.
it's a bunch of MILFs in a mansion with a bunch of young dudes, but I
Oh.
think the twist is that the young dudes are all sons of one of the MILFs.
Oh.
Oh.
that's-
And they don't know like the like they don't know that until they get there.
Mom? Yeah.
It's
that's pretty good.
it's the 30 Rock MILF Island bit, but
Oh
like
my
it's real.
God! Oh my god!
And I'm just curious. I don't have like whatever the Paramount Plus or whatever it is you need to watch it.
I have it. Brad,
But I
I'm
gotta
gonna need you
know.
to
I
watch
gotta
this and
know if
report
it's
back.
worth it. I gotta know if it's worth it.
This is
MILF
Brad's
Island.
homework.
What's it called? MILF Manor?
MILF
MILF
Manor.
Manor.
It
Oh,
is
okay,
called
we
MILF
definitely have
Manor.
Paramount Plus, so.
Is this
We'll
the
look in-
same production team behind the hit reality TV show Fuckboy Island?
Oh, I don't know.
Is
I
that-
mean,
is that a
I have
real
no
thing?
That is
idea.
that is real. It
I
is a
don't
real
know.
show.
I don't know that I would even know how to know that.
Well, Brad will
I
find out
just-
for us.
Yeah, no, I don't have a lot going on. I just wanted to say that. I will say, last time we had an episode and I did my 4-player minute, I talked about the D&D
Yeah.
OGL fiasco that's been going on. There have been more developments. It seems to be like it's just
They're
getting
backing
fucking.
off.
It's just
They're
getting
backing
fucking.
off.
Oh, they're backing off, and it's getting fucking weird because they've issued 2 different statements in the last 2 days, and then like last night there was a YouTuber who was like, "Oh, I've confirmed with insider sources at Wizards of the Coast that Wizards of the Coast do not read your survey feedback answers," and then like that kicked up a whole new shitstorm for like a day and a half until I don't know, a bunch of D&D people came forward and were like, no, that's not true. This is how our editorial process works. And people are kind of just in the camp now of like, okay, that sounds reasonable. We'll calm down. Or like, no, I don't trust a single goddamn thing you say. I'm going to choose to be mad about this. Which, I mean, okay, maybe I'm showing my bias a little bit there. I do think this last bit of rumors was kind of superfluous and just like, either it's half true and it shouldn't be surprising which half of it is true, you know what I mean? I don't know, the whole thing's fucked. The whole thing is just fucked. It took D&D, you know, all of 5th edition to kind of build up this like goodwill, and in the last year they've done a really good job of chipping away at it, and then in the last 2 weeks they just like exponentially increase their efforts to destroy it. And things seem to maybe be settling down now. They have backed off on like a lot of the stuff that were the main sticking points. There's no more royalty structure. There's no more requirement to report or register your products or revenue made from it. There's no more back licensing thing that people were worried about.
There's no retroactive
but a lot
stuff.
of and they keep the big sticking point that I can tell now is they keep saying, listen, everything you've made with the OGL 1.0 is still valid under that 1.0 agreement, but they're not acknowledging that you can still, or that you will, whenever this new one goes into effect, you will be able to still use the 1.0 OGL. Just more that like everything got grandfathered into it, you know? So I don't know. We've gone beyond like the original like wave of outrage, and now we're getting into the weeds with it. And I really don't know where it's going to happen. I will say some of the nice news to come out of this, of like the different companies who are now just like saying, fuck it, we'll make our own RPG. MCDM Productions, which is Matt Colville's company, the head writer for the video game Evolve, if you recall. They have just started like the very, very beginnings of mechanic tests for like trying to figure out what their system's going to be, and they've been very public and posting like play tests and material of like what it's going to be about, and it looks really cool. It looks like where their head's at right now is they're like kind of taking D&D and smashing it together with the Star Wars Fantasy Flight games, which are really interesting and work in a really weird, unique way. And it's fucking cool. I'm excited. Maybe
Silver lining.
No matter what happens with D&D, we might be on the cusp of a nice little TTRPG renaissance that maybe was overdue.
Okay.
Cool. I hope so. That would be a nice silver lining to have to this whole debacle.
So that's kind of cool.
I mean, one of the head guys behind Evolve, say what you will about Evolve the video game, but it was a good idea for a cooperative multiplayer experience. Like
this guy was also like the narrative lead on Mercenaries 2, if you remember that one.
That game had.
I think he wrote on Mercenaries.
Did Brad just give a thumbs down?
Narratively speaking, Mercenaries aren't like high art, but they're fun games.
Are you telling me that game's? Are you telling me that somebody almost tricked us into playing a bad game on the Revival Club?
No one told us to play Mercenaries 2.
It was on. It was on a poll.
No,
it was on a poll.
Mercenaries 1.
Oh wow, really? Oh,
yeah,
maybe
that's
you're
a
right.
very
Maybe you're right.
Playground Destruction is, in my opinion, a much better game.
All right, my turn. 4-player minute. What should I talk about? Oh, The Last of Us. That show. What do you want me to say? This has like been kind of the thing that's dominated my thoughts all week. I don't know what to tell you.
No,
tell us about it, Nick.
Let me set it up for you. I'm just kidding. We've talked about it a lot. Whenever you hear about an adaptation for something like this, the expectation is that it's not going to be very good, because we all know 9 times out of 10 video game adaptations don't turn out very well. It's crazy to me that the stars have managed to kind of align, or seemingly seem to have kind of aligned around something that I'm already very passionate about, that I love. So I feel incredibly lucky. I think a lot of people out there feel pretty lucky, because this show so far has more or less delivered.
It is one episode.
I know it is one episode, and I'm trying to take a lot of the stuff with a grain of salt because I haven't seen anything beyond the first episode. But there are people out there there are a lot of people out there actually who have already seen the entire season, who are currently watching the entire season, who are not tweeting specifics or talking specifics, but they are saying there have been multiple points in which the episodes that follow that first episode surpass it with ease. There's one episode in particular I hear everybody kind of raving about, and I believe it's I
Bill.
think it's the Bill episode. Everyone says it's amazing. So there's still a lot to look forward to, and the best parts of that story obviously are yet to come. And I'm just really, I don't know what to. As a Last of Us fan, I'm pretty fucking thrilled. Because it could have been so much worse.
Isn't Bill played by Nick Offerman?
Yes, he is. And I hear it's amazing. And I'm also thinking about like the winter. Like I can't wait for the winter sequence of that show. It's gonna be awesome.
I was talking about this a little bit with Malia, where if they did not finish the whole story of The Last of Us 1 this season, the place where they could end it would be, at the start of winter.
Yeah.
Or, when
Yes.
Joel gets real hurt.
That's
That could
too
be
good
like how
a
they
spot not to break from it.
But at the same time, I am in agreement with what was said earlier. Whether they continue with additional seasons or not, if they make this one season a standalone product from start to finish, and this kind of quality that they've started with kind of stays consistent, if I get that, I'll be happy. I would love to see them go beyond that, obviously, but if we get one strong standalone season that stands on its own.
But what if this is like an Andor, and it's like, okay, this is pretty solid, kind of slow getting off the ground, and then like 8 episodes later, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Why is this the best thing I've ever seen? Like,
I haven't watched Andor yet. I should probably do that.
I know. I was bringing it up so that I could once again tell you guys to watch that fucking show.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
I don't think you understand just how good it ramps. I don't think you guys understand just how like hard the embarkation is around episode 5, 4 or 5. Like, it's
most
nuts.
reviews for shows are not based on an entire season. They're usually just based on like the first handful of episodes. And I remember seeing that the reviews for Andor were kind of like, they're fine, I guess. But a lot of season 1 reviews are sort of like that.
I mean,
but I wonder if reviews came out like after the whole first season, if they would have been a lot higher. Because
go back and watch anything. Go back and watch anything that's been written in the last month about that show. Like, I can't imagine people are still saying, "Oh, it's okay." Like,
a question about Andor, and this is don't read into this question. It's really just wanting just general data about the show.
Is it better than Rogue One?
No. Are these episodes like 30-minute episodes? Or are they like closer to an hour?
They're like hour long, I think.
Okay.
And I mean, they do kind of vary. I mean, it's like, how these Disney Plus shows, like some of them will be like 40 minutes long and some of them will be like 70.
I hate that,
yeah.
There is a little bit of variety, but the show is specifically written in 4 3-episode arcs too.
Okay.
Just so you're aware.
All right. Well, maybe I'll move that to the top of my list.
You're gonna.
I feel like
you're gonna call me as soon as you're done and be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe what I've been such a fool."
I will call you at 4 a.m. if
I'll be up.
Do it.
All right, guys. Also, just want to squeeze this into my 4-player minute here. Scream 6, baby. Yeah, I'm excited.
The Revenge of Stu.
Ghostface,
How many times?
He's a whole new Ghostface. He uses a gun.
It's Matthew Lillard.
I'm totally.
He hasn't been in any of them, right?
What? Are you serious?
He hasn't been in any of them since the first, has he?
Oh no, he has not. Oh, the technical as Chai Tai. So
also last
pointed out to me today
didn't they,
when we were talking about
the Force last time.
What?
Like, doesn't the main character have like Force ghost visions?
No,
in the last movie.
All right, let's end the show.
Yeah, let's end the show. We'll talk about that off the show. God damn it, Krispy. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to tune in next week. It'll be our. We'll talk more about fantasy draft shit. I think we'll have Dead Space on the board. We'll have Forspoken on the board. Fire Emblem Engaged already on the board there. So we'll see where we stand. next week, so don't miss it. And of course, I think we'll also maybe be talking about one or more of those games. Who knows? In the meantime, 4playernetwork.com. If you have not yet, please check out our Game of the Year videos. Our year in review is up on the site at 4playernetwork.com. And of course, if you haven't yet, join us in Discord at discord.gg/4player. We would love to have you. Everybody, be safe, be good to each other, play video games, and we will see you next week. Good night.
Night.